August 4th, regularly scheduled planning board meeting. I'd like to start with the introduction of the planning board members. Mr. Stu Hardy.
Present.
Adam Raposa.
Present.
Rosemary Eva.
Present.
Alan Myers.
Present.
I'm Cheryl Valentine. I'd like to introduce our planning board attorney, Mr. Todd Romano, our town planner, Christopher Spencer, and our land use clerk, Ed Rotello. Okay, we're going to get into item number 1, which is going to be continued to September 1st. Attorney Landry, I'm sorry. This is an administrative subdivision application, major modification to recorded plan. Project name is Spring Street in an R120 zoning district. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Matthew Landry on behalf of the applicant. As you know, we had continued this to a date certain this evening for 2 reasons. One, we are still working with the city of Fall River on some engineering specs and design and drainage calculations. This is going to coordinate with the Planning Commission in that city. We're not sure what the final design is going to look like and how it's going to affect the connecting point to the Tiverton portion of Spring Street. Bill Smith is here. We're working with the city actively to work on those designs and the drainage calculations. We don't have anything to report as of yet. So we're continuing it a month, hoping that we'll have some information back from the city on what the final design width and some of the specs that they may need that we expect this board will want to know and review before it renders a decision on the relief that we're requesting here. I did submit a letter to the board withdrawing our request formally to make this a public street post-approval. That eliminates a multitude of waivers that we needed from the design standards, so it's really just limited to improvements to paper streets under Section 8 of your zoning ordinance. So it's really just the request to make it asphalt as opposed to gravel, so we've substantially reduced the amount of relief. But we're waiting on the City of Fall River details so we can report back to the board before we proceed in this jurisdiction.
Do you think the September 1st date is a realistic date, since you're still waiting for additional
I know there was
information?
some recent communications with Mr. Smith. Bill, can you comment on that, would you mind? Just introduce yourself for the record.
Civil Engineering Concepts.
Oh, the mic, Bill, please. Thank you.
Bill Smith from Civil Engineering Concepts, excuse me. So we have talked with Fall River. We're trying to work out the drainage system that's out there. We've done soil testing out there at their request, and now we're modifying the drainage design a little bit to accommodate that. Honestly, I suspect that we're going to be before them at their September meeting, which may not, will probably be after your September meeting. So it may make sense to push it out to October if you need the Fall River sign off before you can act on it.
Okay, and the time clock right now is for September 30th.
So I would suggest extending that to October 31st with the hope that we appear at the early October planning board meeting.
Ed, is that okay to schedule that for October? Okay.
I'll make a motion that we extend the time clock
to
October 30th.
31st,
October 31st.
please.
and continue the hearing.
I'm sorry?
And
And-
continue the hearing.
Yes, please.
Okay. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay. Unanimous, Ed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Landry, do you want to just go straight to the October meeting?
For the yeah, I'm not sure what the date is, but that would make more sense. Yeah.
That would be another, that'd have to be another motion.
And all we ask is that you coordinate with Ed, make sure all the material is in well in advance so that we're all copied on it.
Certainly.
Mr. Solicitor, wouldn't that have to be a separate motion if it's?
That's why I was trying to get the date.
Yes.
What's the date of the October meeting, please? October 6th.
October 6th.
So, Ms. Eva, is your motion to continue this project to the October 6th meeting and to continue or extend the time clock to October 31st?
Yes.
Thank you.
So moved.
Thank you.
So all those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, item number 2, public hearing continued from July 7th. This is Crandall Commons, 1588 Bogamash Road, major land development, comprehensive permit application. And again, Mr. Mello and Attorney Landry.
Thank you. Again, Madam Chair, for the record, Attorney Matthew Landry on behalf of the applicant, Tiverton Investments LLC. We came before you last month for a public hearing, and I believe the only outstanding item that was discussed was the issue with an archaeological survey and grounds thereof for proceeding in that matter. Since the time that we last met with you, we did reach out to the Public Archaeological Lab, PAL, that was recommended by I think it was the Pecasset Land Trust that expressed an interest in the site. We did submit a letter to the board that attached a scope of services from PAL. There was an estimate around $12,000 to do a desktop review and a site evaluation, which would ultimately result in a phase 1. We also reached out to the HPHC. I believe the town did it as well independently. And the consensus here is that there's no known archaeological significance of the site. There are no archaeological or sensitive features on the site that would warrant a phase 1 assessment, especially at a concept review, master plan review. So our position is that respectfully we proceed on the condition that at the next stage of review, if it becomes necessary or with further site inspections or site evaluations, there are archaeological features that are identified on the site that we would stop and submit it to the appropriate authorities. Again, we would resubmit it to the HPHC at that point. We think it's more appropriate at the preliminary plan phase, if at all. But at this juncture, the state agency as well as PAL don't see it as being necessary at this point. But we have submitted the materials to the board so you understand what the extent of the phase 1 would be, and we think that $12,000 phase 1 for a site that doesn't have any identifiable features or any cultural significance that's been identified by the state, it's really just not necessary at this phase, respectfully. But we will agree to continue submitting it to those state agencies in accordance with their guidance for any future site development or plans at the next stage.
I just want to confirm, initially the July 22nd letter from the HPHC seemed to indicate that there were no known archaeological or historic sites, but the July 28th letter seemed to contradict that, indicating that there is a cemetery in the area. So have you reviewed the July 28th, 2026?
Yeah, so we had followed up with them. Seth Lemoyne from Principe Engineering had a subsequent discussion with them about the cemetery. We're not aware of it. We haven't identified that on the site. I think it would be prudent to include them in a site evaluation, a physical site evaluation, short of a phase 1 at the preliminary plan stage of review, and we would agree to a condition of approval, if it's the board's pleasure, that we do so at that stage of review. We think it's more appropriate beyond a conceptual plan phase as we move into that. So we're not aware of that. There could be one there based on their information, but no one knows, and it hasn't been physically identified. So I think the only way to do that is with the site walk or site eval with the HPHC at that point. And that was the follow-up discussion with Mr. Lemoyne, and we didn't get to the point of scheduling that or planning it, but it's something we would certainly be amenable to doing.
In our planning office, did you also have additional conversations after the letter of the 28th?
Well, we did reach out to the Historical Preservation and Heritage Commission just to get an idea of when there is a cemetery, what is that setback? So in this particular letter, what they were not suggesting at this point is phase 1, but they were suggesting that if there is a cemetery, that it should be surveyed, and there would be a 25-foot buffer required between any historic cemetery. I think in the letter, the Pecasset Coconut Land Trust indicated that there was a cemetery in the area in question. But that cemetery, I think they said the existence and the location, the extent of the cemetery was unknown. So there really is no other information on that. Do you want me to get into the other stuff? So then I also got a phone call from, I think it was from the Narragansett Indian tribe, and they basically had a contention that the Pecassapoconut Land Trust does not represent, I'm trying to see exactly what this is, the Pecasset tribe, so, and that they are not recognized. But again, right now are saying that there is a cemetery, so we will continue to investigate that. But I think there's a little bit of back and forth between whether they have, that they're speaking for the Pecasset tribe in that regard. So we'll continue to investigate that and give you more information when we get it.
We did reach out separately to the Narragansett Indian tribe as well. Mr. Lemoyne had a separate conversation and a discussion with them, and it's something that we could certainly continue involving them in. I think, again, more appropriate at the next stage of review, but we certainly have no objection to working with HPHC and the Narragansett Indian tribe if they have information relevant to the site and bringing them in to do something short of a phase one unless a phase one is deemed necessary. Particularly to locate this purported cemetery on site.
I think I felt a little bit more comfortable after the first letter, July 22nd, but I am concerned after the July 28th letter. It says indicating that there is a cemetery in the area in question. I have confirmed this with, and it mentions a name, and their recommendation that we require the survey. So I just want to make sure we followed up enough on that issue. The other open item that I had was the planning office was going to schedule a meeting with some of the neighbors and the abutters, as well as, I believe, Mr. DeMello, and I'm not sure, someone from the engineering staff, or whoever you're going to bring to the meeting. If we could follow up on that and just make sure we're all set with any of the neighbors that want to attend that meeting. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and the planning board will be notified when it is too, right?
When what is?
With the site walk? Okay.
Yes.
It is going to be a site walk, okay?
Yes. That is something that Ed and Chris were going to bring up, the site walk for both of them. They were going to send out some information with 3 dates for us to pick from. And then at that point, because it's been put off a couple of times, they're going to schedule it when the majority of us can attend. And that will be for both projects, Spring Street as well as Crandall Commons. Okay.
And that's the same day, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Is it appropriate time to bring up the site plan for this project?
Sure.
Can we talk about that now? So you would care to explain the changes you made to the site plan?
Mr. Lemoyne went on record last month regarding all the changes to the site plan. I can say again briefly, there is a substantial amount of landscaping that was introduced along the eastern side of the property. We did move the proposed dwelling in the northeast corner of
The
lot
single family
113, that's correct.
at the top of the cul-de-sac?
Yep, we pushed that all the way towards Bulga Marsh
road?
Road, towards the front. That was to increase some of the separation with the neighbor in the back there and bring it closer to the street front with the single
But
family.
it looks like your triplex is right on top of the easement for the gas company.
It's separated, it is off the easement. We did confer with them separately, and they do have a process for getting relief to build on or over the gas easement.
Okay.
So we don't anticipate any issues there, but it is located outside the easement area.
Well, you said, so on here, you had some groundwater treatment there where this new single family's gonna go.
Yep.
How do you plan on making up for that, the stormwater treatment?
So it's not fully designed yet because it's master plan, it's just a conceptual phase, but Mr. Lemoyne had opined that he's got some groundwater treatment areas towards the eastern side of the proposed private road there. There's also some potential parking proposed for that, additional off-street parking there, but the stormwater system hasn't been fully designed. That will be designed at the next phase.
What's the buffer supposed to be there? The back sets? 75?
There's a 75-foot no-cut buffer.
Right. So what are the back sets there of the property lines in that neighborhood? Do you know what they're supposed to be? For rear backs, the rear back sets in that neighborhood? Because you're looking for relief from back sets, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah,
For that
that's right.
Single family?
Yep. I had submitted a matrix with the updated adjustments that are being requested that specifically identify the setbacks.
I mean, the house is, you have no cut, 75-foot no cut buffer with a house right in it.
So the only rear setback relief, it's 30 feet in this zone. The single-family dwelling is the only one that requires the rear setback relief. We're at 29.4, so the variance is only 0.06 feet.
It's in your buffer. You have a no cut buffer that whole side of the property, and now there's a house in it.
So we've asked for a waiver from the 75-foot no-cut buffer, because there's really no way to develop this site without encroaching in that no-cut buffer, because of how narrow it is and where the setbacks are.
No, you almost had it figured out on your original plan. You didn't have any houses on that side of the property, along that eastern edge, just the top of the cul-de-sac. So where was the,
Yeah, there was
thought
one,
process for changing it, like, for putting a house there?
well, there were some comments about the proximity to the wetlands in that location and the proximity to the house at that, off of Indian Hill Road. And we thought it would make more sense aesthetically to move the single family up towards closer to the road, because it fits better in with the duplex that's there and the duplex that's proposed.
Oh, that's it. Thanks, Joe.
What did you say the rear setback was now?
I have 30 feet, and we're at 29.4.
Yeah.
We're providing 29.4.
30 feet for the
The-
R120?
It's the Conservation District zoning. And correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at the rear yard setback based on the private road that's being proposed. We're looking at the front yard setback and the rear setback off of that street. That's how we've allocated that. That was one of the confusing things, because of the underlying zone and because of the Conservation District zoning. There are different dimensional standards that applied, so we are reverting to the Conservation District zoning. And the matrix that I supplemented in our last letter specifies all of the relief that's required, what we're providing, and what the relief is that we're asking for.
I have a concern about the shape of the conservation land that will be protected as open space in perpetuity, and that's the very dark green.
Correct.
And my concern, and it's really a request to the applicant, is that more be done to get away from those two long, narrow prongs that run north and south parallel to the proposed road, because that really doesn't provide much of an ecological value to the property. Some of you may remember that we did have a workshop a couple of years ago, our planning board with Scott Millar, and an associate. Scott is well known in environmental circles in Rhode Island. He worked at DEM in a senior position, and then also Grow Smart Rhode Island. And one of the points he made loud and clear during that presentation was that the conservation land needed to be grouped together because habitat needs protection. And so he advised us to make sure when a conservation development came before the planning board that we avoid long, narrow strips, such as you're showing on your plan now, because those long, narrow strips don't get the kind of protection, the habitat protection they need for plant and animal species habitat, because because they're easily violated by human activity. And I can see cars parking in there, I can see kids playing in there. So if there's something you can do that would aggregate or group together or bunch together, I know I'm not being very articulate here, that bright green land, so that we can avoid as much as possible land that is protected land, but protected land that's very narrow and completely surrounded by land that's not protected and that can be disturbed and that has a lot of human activity. So if you could think about that, I would certainly be amenable to granting you waivers or adjustments on setbacks and so forth and so on. But if you could just think about how you might do that.
I would say the only difficulty here is it's a very constrained site, and that large swath that's not covered in green is all wetlands. So that's all included in the conservation land, and is contiguous to the open space.
I understand that, and that's not bright green because that's not developable land in the first place.
Right.
But what I am concerned about, just to make it very clear, this long narrow strip and the one above it.
Okay.
Is there any way we can get rid of those, build in that area if you want to, but move that protected land back toward the north, back toward where the rest of the protected land is, including the land that's not in bright green but is wetlands and therefore preserved already?
I mean, we've absolutely maximized the open space. So we right now on this design satisfy the definition for open space required. It's 50%. We're not asking for a waiver from that. If we reduce any of that area that's indicated in green, the areas that you're concerned about, we would need a variance from the open space requirement. There's really nowhere else to put it because all of that land that's to the north is open space. It's in wetlands, so I'm not sure how else.
The ecological value of doing that is overweighs my concern about the 50% requirement.
Okay.
So I would actually make that recommendation that we drop that 50% requirement if you can do something to aggregate or group together or bunch together that land so that we don't have those two narrow strips sticking out, because they really, they just don't have the value of the land that is the rest of the land on the northern side of your lot.
I completely
which is the
understand.
left-hand side for everybody in the audience.
Yeah, I guess, so I'm not a wetland engineer, but my conclusion would be we would eliminate those strips and there's nowhere else to allocate that to. So we would be eliminating that as open space. We would fall below the 50% and there's nowhere else to put it because everything north is already identified as open space, I guess is the point. There's nowhere to fill those gaps because you've got wetlands and that entire lot to the north is otherwise open space. So we would be removing protected area, your suggestion, without being able to add it back in somewhere else.
Well, why couldn't you add back in right up here and move some of those buildings to the south, which is to the right?
You get the propane, you get the high-pressure gas.
Yeah, it's, we could certainly look at it. I mean, this is really a very, very constrained site, and we've looked at different ways to move these things. We did relocate that single-family structure that was at the top of the cul-de-sac towards Bulga Marsh, partly to restore some of that open space and landscaping area. I mean, we're not proposing to build in the areas that are marked green in those strips, and it's not uncommon to find open space land that's earmarked for recreational, areas that you can't pull a car back there. So it's going to be undeveloped, protected land in the sense that we can never build on it.
What land are you talking about?
Those two strips that you have there, the cars can't park back there, and they're not accessible other than by the units themselves. And open space, can typically be used for recreational purposes as well. Open space, for any non-buildable recreational activity. That's not uncommon, and by identifying that as open space, you preserve into perpetuity that it's never going to be built on. If we remove those protected areas or reorient the buildings, then there's no guarantee that someone wouldn't build a shed or something else in those areas. With this, they would be prohibited from doing so because it's open space. We've looked at this as really no other way to get to that and reallocate it, and if we did, it would be very minimal, just based on the setbacks and the relief you need for stormwater features, the gas line easement that runs across, that's why you don't see it. More to the south towards Bulgamarsh, there's areas there that could potentially be open space, but they're covered with the easement. So I don't know how we could reallocate that, but potentially over the easement area, because we can't build on it anyway. So I guess my point is it's so constrained, and there's really no other. We've evaluated alternatives to reallocating this open space. It would either be patchy, or there's really no other way to do it, based on even if we reoriented that triplex at the end, or we relocated one to the eastern side of the street, that open space wouldn't shift much, and it would look very much the same. We're open to ideas. I'm not sure how we can shift that around and reallocate it.
So I'm just going to add my 2 cents. Other than reducing the number of units, I'm just concerned, and I agree with you, Stu, on open space and all of that. I was at that training as well. I want to see as much buffer as we can between the neighbors. So I personally would be opposed to decreasing that even more, especially with the neighbors, basically all the way around, but the houses that are the closest to it. I'd want to see as much buffer as we can. That it's just too close if we reduce that part of it.
Yeah, and I agree. And
so I want to see as much open space, but I'd rather see, obviously, and the math isn't going to work, but a reduction of units before reduction of that buffer.
Is there a way of giving those two narrow strips a little additional protection from neighbors poaching in? And I can tell you that the neighbors will do that. I have seen that time and time again. It goes on in my very own neighborhood, where people are poaching into a town-owned land. We need to think of some way that we can, at very reasonable cost to the developer, give that land some protection so that the trees are not cut down, sheds are not built, cars aren't parked, because there is no enforcement. No one goes out there to take a look and say, hey, unless the neighbors complain and unless a lawsuit is brought. And I can think of a lawsuit that was brought for that very reason. So yes, I would go along with your suggestion that those two narrow strips are needed and can't be replaced. But I would like you to think about some way to give those two narrow strips a little more protection, so that they do not become over time somebody's backyard.
Just a couple comments on this. So I think there's a balance in all of this. Obviously, the conservation development guidelines and the training really talks about not just about the conservation itself, but also looking at designing the entire thing and looking at them, trying to develop on the more marginal areas of the land. So that's closest to the road, which they've done as much as they can, I think. But that's really what conservation development is looking at, not just creating that contiguous open space, but trying to save the more valuable areas of the land for the open space and developing on the more marginal. The balance then becomes, if you start pulling this even closer to Bogamarsh Road, those triplexes end up closer to other people's houses. So I think part of what it looks like they're trying to do is pull those a little bit further back, putting the single-family homes closer to the road where they're more in line with other duplexes or single-family homes, and then putting those triplexes where you have that buffer. So I don't know if there's any room to pull those triplexes up a little bit and create a little bit more open space in the back, but I think, I would agree with the chair that I wouldn't want to see any more of that buffer reduced, so.
And I do agree with Stu about protecting the area so that it doesn't become someone's yard or
Yes, and I agree with.
parking spot.
And I agree with you, Cheryl, about, about creating a buffer between the new development and the existing neighborhood. So I was simply, and if it's impossible to make any adjustment in what we're looking at on the screen right now, I understand that and will not oppose it. But I would like you to think about what steps can be taken to give those two narrow prongs, those two long sticks, a little more protection from human activity creeping in over time.
Yeah, and I understand the concern and appreciate the comments, and I think so. One of the big reasons for locating all of these structures, one in the rear and more to the west, the bottom part of the lot, is because the closest improvements to that is 300 to 500 feet away. There's no development. It's all woods and all otherwise undevelopable land. I don't want to say undevelopable land, I don't know if it is, but it's all wooded, undeveloped land currently, several hundred feet away from the nearest residence. So we specifically located those triplexes in that area because they're the furthest away from any residences. So, I mean, if there was a way to reconfigure this and put some of these structures on the eastern right side of the road, that's going to put them in close proximity to those neighbors along Indian Hill Road. So this was deliberately designed this way to minimize impacts from environmental features as well as impacts to the residences. And we've increased the landscaping and the screening. That's the pink line that you see. I'm sure we could work out some type of restriction on that open space land, perhaps for passive uses only. I know there was a suggestion about a fence. I'm not sure if a fence would help or where that would go, but I think there's things that we can think about, because I appreciate the concern, and our goal is to preserve it. It's open space, so it can't be built on, and that would be an inherent restriction on that use anyway. I don't see any reason why recreational passive uses couldn't be encouraged in open space. It is everywhere else. But to the extent you can't build on it, maybe not put a shed. I mean, we could talk about those things. I don't think that's an unreasonable request. I'm just not sure we can reconfigure the site to adjust those areas. We've really tried to maximize the amount of open space here so we don't need a waiver. That was the most important fact. We could have easily asked for waivers from that.
I understand that, and I am accepting what you're saying right now, tonight. That it's impracticable for you to do what I was hoping you could do. So I will concede that point to you right now. All I'm asking right now is that you give some thought to how to protect those two narrow strips from human activity. Recreational activity, no. You might have brought that up earlier in the process, but I think it's too late now to talk about using that for anything other than passive recreation. Mm-hmm. In other words, I think Cheryl and I both agree we want the trees to stay there. We don't want it clear cut. So any kind of sports fields, no. Might have been a good idea early on, but I think it's too late in the process to revisit that issue. But let's just think about how to give those strips more protection so that whatever habitat can survive there, and that those strips do not become areas where the neighbors gradually, subtly, over the years, little by little, expand and expand.
Thank you, Steve.
And I can show you places in town where that's happened.
Okay. Adam, do you have any questions at this time? Rosemary? Alan?
Not right now.
Okay. Do you have anything before I open it up to the public? This is a public hearing, so if anyone from the audience would like to speak up. Just turn on the green button.
Good evening, William Camara, 45 Indian Hill Road. My property is the small green strip that goes the whole length of my land. And just to put it into perspective for everyone, the light areas above the green strip to the north, right, to the east, I should say, there's 3 light strips. That's 3 houses. If I had a pointer, I'd like to just point it if I could for a second, just to put in perspective. So those white areas up top there above this lime green line is 3 houses in a space that's larger than where you're putting 9. So with all due respect, if you want to conserve, then you can't put 9 houses. You see, there's 9 houses going in this spot where we have 3 houses above it. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I mentioned this the last time. So when we talk about conservation, if we're that worried, we wouldn't be putting 9 houses on a postage stamp, creating my neighborhood, our neighborhood, my neighbors, into a complex that's, again, like a city. I want privacy, and I'll fight it until it's done. It's just, again, unreasonable. 9. Okay, they're putting 1 house way up near 177, next to the 2 that were up there. Totally fine. 9 houses right there in that small swath of land. When you do the walkthrough, you'll see it. Wildlife are living in there now. Deer, all kinds of animals, coyotes, and they are now going to be pushed out. So when we say conservation, we're really ruining it. I can see maybe 1 or 2 back there, but 9, impossible. Thank you.
Ed or Chris, would you take a couple of minutes to go through what the state law is on comprehensive permits so that the audience can understand it? Just a couple of minute summary on it. I'm sorry? Okay. They'll speak in just a minute about that. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to come up?
Susan Anderson, representing Bliss Four Corners Congregational Church. What is the definition of open space for those strips? Does it mean lawn? Does it mean woods? What is the definition?
I would defer to the planning official to answer that question.
What they mean by open space with those long strips, particularly we're concerned about the one in back of the houses, which is open space, which is only 42 feet. The house is only 42 feet from our wall.
The town subdivision regulations at section 23, or starting at section 2397, continuing into section 23-104, define what the open space requirements are. They are not to be clear-cut, is what I will generally say. There are also open space design standards. design considerations. So, I'm sorry, your
So
question?
the 42 feet from the back of the house to our wall will all be woods? That's what you're saying?
It's preserved open space.
So they're going to build right up to the woods?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Well, you just defined open space as being no cut. So they have 35 feet of open space.
What they have defined as open space has to remain open space. Whether they build right up to that or not, which was your question, I don't know. They're showing a structure which goes close to it. There is some gap between their structure and the open space.
Because my concern is, if you walk through our woods to our stone wall, you will see the remnants of what happened with the flea market before we put a fence up. Toilets, sinks, junk. We couldn't get them out. That's what I'm afraid of, what's going to happen with the people in those houses 35 feet away from our stone wall, and just plop it over the stone wall, or go into the stone wall with a tent and camp out in our woods. I'm very concerned about that. The other question that I have is, and what I would like to see you add on your checklist for this particular project, is a written consent from the gas company that they have permission to build, to get water through the gas line, and to build, going with their construction trucks and everything, to build these places over the gas line. Because my understanding is that you can't have any heavy equipment go across a gas line. And that's, I would like to have that as part of the consent for this development, that you add the permission from the gas line. Because the last time I asked, they hadn't even contacted the gas line yet to see if they had permission to even do this.
We have since, so we don't anticipate any issues, because it's very common to ask for relief to cross an easement, where it's premature at this stage, because this is just a concept design, but we have reached out to them, we don't anticipate any issues.
And they're going to allow you to have all these heavy equipment to dig and everything?
It's not unusual, as long as the gas company signs off. We've spoken to them, we don't, again, anticipate any issues with that. They've seen the design.
And do they understand that you're going to have to dig underneath that gas line to get the water in?
There's plenty of separation to do that, and again, it's not uncommon to do so.
There's boulders. When they put the gas line in, there's boulders. We have a whole pile of them in back of our church.
If we can't do it, we can't do it, but we will seek the permission that's required, and we have no objection to a condition to that effect.
Susan, we're going to have the
All right.
planning office follow up on that to require whatever they can at whatever stage in the process that they can. Master plan is different in what we can require.
Madam Chair, can I just clarify something too, because I think it's a recurring theme here, and I just want to address it. So there's an open space requirement that we satisfy. It's 50% of the developable land area. There's also a 75-foot no-cut buffer. We're asking for relief from a portion of the no-cut buffer for the portions of the structures on the western side, but the site plan shows the remainder of that no-cut buffer as vegetated and undisturbed. So we're only asking for relief from the no-cut buffer for the portion of the structures that encroach. The rest of that area is going to remain undisturbed and as a no-cut buffer. So I just want to be clear that the relief we're asking for is because that no-cut buffer is basically where the road is. That the road is the only thing outside of it. That's how constrained this lot is, in addition to the open space. So there are different lines on the site plan that show the no-cut buffer and the discrepancy, but there's a clear vegetated line just to the south of those buildings where it will remain no-cut. So I agree with you, and I appreciate the concern, but I don't know if I articulated that clearly, that there is a substantial portion of that that's not being disturbed, that is no-cut and open space, I guess is another way to put it. So it's protected on two levels, but to the extent we need additional restrictions for that area, I'm sure we can figure that out, whether it's passive passive activities, no sheds, something to that effect. I don't think that's a problem. These units will have garages as well, so the need for a shed is probably moot, but anyway, a substantial portion of that is going to remain vegetated, so I think that may help answer some of the questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? If you can just turn the green button on, please.
It's green
Oh,
now.
turns green.
Patty Souza Cooper, 18 Beach. Just a quick question. So 9 units, how big are the lots, and what is the setback to build to a open space? Because isn't that going to determine what Susan's concern was, like going right up to an open space? Is that even allowed?
Do you want to review that at
So-
this point, or?
All right, so there's a couple of different things here. There are dimensional setbacks that are set forth under the Conservation Development Guidelines. One is the 75-foot no-cut buffer. It's supposed to be an undisturbed buffer that we're asking relief from, and that's what I was just trying to demonstrate, is that most of that relief comes on the south side, or excuse me, the west side, the lower portion of the roadway to fit these structures in. There are different dimensional setbacks that come into play, front and side yard setbacks. We're only asking for 0.06 feet off of one of the rear setbacks and up to 8 feet on one of the front yard setbacks off the roadway. And that's due to the open space and no-cut buffer requirements. The other side of this is that it's not a traditional land development application. It's coming in as a comprehensive permit application. So the standard of review is much different, and the relief that's being requested, called adjustments from the local regulations, have to be balanced with the need for low and moderate income housing. So it's a little bit of a different standard, but that's why we're asking for the relief that we're asking for, if that answers your question.
So those two special numbers that you just gave, the 0.6, and can you explain those? Is that making the the setback to the open space less than it is required to be? What does that mean?
So
those
there's a
numbers?
50% open space requirement under the Conservation Development Guidelines. We're
Right.
not asking for relief from open space, but we satisfy that standard. The standard we don't satisfy is, in addition to open space, there's a 75-foot no-cut buffer that you have to observe from the property lines. And it's our position that there's no way to satisfy that or develop this without asking for a waiver because of how constrained the lot is. So we're not asking for relief from the open space requirement. We are asking for relief from the no-cut buffer, which is, you can't clear it, you can't remove trees, essentially is what it means.
Would you be able to meet that more readily with less units?
There's no way, not in the rear portion, or almost any portion of the slot, because of the way the setbacks fall. That's why it's designed the way it is. That there's really no way to shift these units or redesign it in a way that satisfies. The road itself that's being proposed to come in, it's really the only thing that can comply with the no-cut buffer.
Okay, and then the second portion of my question was, how big are the lots?
It's one single lot that will have multiple units on it. Do you know what the acreage of that was? I don't remember.
I don't think 7 or 8 acres.
And are the units going to be single dwelling, single units, or are they going to be multiple family dwellings in each unit?
So the rear of the property has 3 triplexes, so there'll be three units in each of those buildings, condo units.
Okay.
There's an existing duplex already on the property along Bogomarsh. There's a single family and an additional duplex proposed towards the south side of the lot, towards Bogomarsh.
Okay.
So it's 12 units total.
Okay. All right, and what's the total square footage of the project?
Do you know the? I don't have the dimensions. I don't have the dimensions of the triplex offhand.
Oh, the size of the triplex?
Yeah, do you know how big the footprint is?
1,340 square feet plus the garage.
That's just the back end, the south end, the north end? Down
That's
here, the
just
cul-de-sac, basically?
Yeah, just the units off the cul-de-sac.
Okay. So no dimensions for the units along the road? How much space that's
If you'd
gonna
like
take up?
more exact information, I would suggest calling our planning office so that
Okay.
you can come in
All right.
and meet with them and review the plans in more detail.
All right. One last-
They've presented the plans at previous meetings, but
Okay.
please feel free to
Yeah.
make that appointment.
Absolutely. One last question. Does Tiverton do we have a minimum lot size for a dwelling? Do we have that requirement in Tiverton?
Yes, we do. We're also going to have Ed and Chris explain what the requirements are of a comp permit, just so that the residents can understand that a little bit more.
Okay,
And
thank
what we're required to do under state law right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So
Would it-
I'll address that right now.
Okay.
So I know it's really frustrating for a lot of people who come in and see these projects coming in, and they're expecting a lot more detail. But what the state has done really in these is change the whole master plan that most people are used to and create it. First of all, a master plan is not even required anymore. It's an optional one. And so the master plan requirements that are set forth by the state are very limited. And they, again, it's more akin to a concept plan really at this point. And so the submission requirements by the state, as they put it forth, said it shall be limited to the following. So it's very specific. An application form and a fee. A short description of the project in writing, including the number of units, the type of housing, the density analysis, lists of adjustments needed, as well as the location map and preliminary determination as to site constraints. Conceptual site plans showing infrastructure locations for roadways, preliminary locations and designs of conceptual stormwater facilities, location of sewer and water lines or wells and on-site wastewater treatment systems, location of housing units, estimated locations of site constraints and wetlands. If it's more than 30 dwelling units, they're required to have a preliminary traffic opinion for projects. Letter of eligibility by Rhode Island Housing and Mortgage Finance Corporation, and in the case of projects funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, an award letter indicating subsidy or application for such forms. And if the applicant is submitting any request for adjustments at the master plan, it's a public hearing is held in the same manner as during the preliminary plan as set forth in this section. So again, it's very, very limited in terms of the scope. So in the past, our master plan had a very lengthy list of project requirements, checklist requirements that each applicant was required to bring in. And again, in this case, it is an optional phase of review. And again, it's just a lot more like a concept. So I know there's not as much detail as people are used to in past projects that didn't fall under the low-income housing by the state, so.
Did you have anything else before we continue? Okay. To continue the public hearing?
Sandra Van Hoff, 254 Fairwood Drive. One concern, and I don't know if this is accurate, is this project now involved in the contaminated well area? And how does that impact this project going forward?
That's a very good question that we have asked our planning office for additional information on.
Okay, but at this point, the planning board cannot ask that this just be put on hold until that all gets figured out?
That is what we've been told, yes.
Okay,
So we will ask our planning office, though, for as much information that they can share with us on that and what we're able to do, along with legal advice.
okay. Another one is a kind of a general question, or maybe a clarification for some people. I've been at this for 2 years now, have learned a lot. I was very naive when I started. When people are questioning, how can 9 dwellings be jammed into a small amount of land? It boils down to the density formula, density credit that developers get because they're willing to do a 25% low to moderate income housing project. So I'm just going to give one example off the top of my head. I think it's in the concept stage. I don't know that it came any further. A project over on Fish Road. From what I understand, looking at paperwork, if the developer was not doing LMI, were following all the variances, zoning, not variances, but the zoning ordinances of the town, they could put 46 units on this one piece of property. But because they're doing the LMI and they get bonus density credits, that 46, they get 212 bonus units. So they go from 46, if a regular non-LMI development was going in, to 258 units. So that's how you can jam, or why you have, I guess, the right to jam pieces of land. So that maybe will help clarify for some of the people on Indian Hill why on such a small piece of land you're now going to have 12 units. Am I right or not? How that works.
That's very similar to my understanding. I'm going to say unfortunately, and maybe I shouldn't use that word, but the Rhode Island state law has changed, I believe, since 2023, when they first started implementing these changes. They have implemented a multitude of different state laws that benefit developers that are willing to put LMI housing. If they do a certain percentage of that, then they are allowed not to comply with, and in this case, this parcel is in an R120 district, they are allowed to put in much higher density housing, as long as they comply with the Rhode Island state law and they comply with very little requirements that we can implement, to make sure they have water, to make sure it's safe, to make sure, they meet certain requirements. The discretion that we used to have, we no longer have. We can't enforce R120. We have to follow, as much as we can, the Rhode Island state law, considering, what we can from the town. So we are in a very difficult situation with trying to do that, with trying to understand what the neighbors want. We live here as well. We want buffer zones. We live in Tiverton for a reason, as I've said many times. But we do have to comply with state law where we have to comply with that. We ask our lawyer for advice all the time, and we involve our planning office to see what we can do to protect the residents. But it is a difficult situation that we're in, because normally this lot is not big enough to do what they're asking to do. Under state law, it does tie our hands to a certain extent, but we will be asking for as much as we can under what we can enforce. Do you have anything to add to that, Mr. Romano?
Nope.
Okay. Planning office, anything? Okay. To continue the public hearing?
Excuse me, Meredith Mucci, East Road. So they're requesting, I'm going to call it a variance, or an exception, adjustment to the amount of space between the actual physical building and the actual property line.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the pressure on us to grant that or to approve that?
Answer that legally?
Simply, it's weighing the interest of low and moderate income housing versus the need to comply with our zoning ordinances.
We can't just answer no. It can't be a no. It has to be reasonable, because we have not met our 10% goal, although we've made significant progress. We have to weigh what they're asking and see if it's reasonable against the density that they're requesting.
So if we did say, if we did that check and balance and we said, no, we don't think it's reasonable, then this type of process then gets appealed and goes into that process if we don't? I'm just trying to understand what position we're in, because I consider us like the town. You guys are representing us, but it's like us. What position are we in?
If the planning board does not grant the adjustments, the developer can either live without those adjustments
Yep.
or take an appeal
Appeal,
and say
okay.
it needs those adjustments to make the project feasible.
Understood. And then, I may not have the knowledge to read this correctly, and in any case, I would never want to make a suggestion that would be less pleasant than what's already being proposed to the people who have to live next to this, which I am not one of those people. But if the road itself, and again, this may not be possible, was a little bit closer to the east, just the road. I like how the houses have been moved to the west, the bottom of the screen, the west, right? Yeah, do I have that oriented correctly? Further away from the neighbors, whose homes are close to it. But if the road were a little further to the east, because right now it looks like, if I'm seeing it correctly, because it's kind of ghosty, what looks like the buildings, they're really right on what we're proposing as the no-cut / open space area. That these homes effectively, if I'm seeing it correctly, have no backyard. So if that road was, instead of that parking area, which I think was a nice idea, but instead of that parking area, that road moved a little further east, and those houses were just a little bit off of that, and perhaps there was that stone wall or something, because I'm also concerned that, so when they go in to build these, are they really going to be able to do this construction without cutting those trees? Getting in there, digging foundations, laying the lines, and all of the things without cutting the area in the bright green, which is supposed to be a no-cut / open space, all the words we use to describe it. So again, I would never want to propose anything less palatable for the Indian Hill Road neighbors or any of the neighbors, but maybe it gives them that space to protect those trees in that no-cut zone.
I know they've gone through several revisions of the project to try and make it, I don't know, the best that they can, let's say. Dealing with a very narrow lot, they have worked with our planning office and with the various department heads. The road has to be a certain width, the driveways have to be a certain length. They've gone through this many times, but if you have some suggestions that you'd like to give to our planning office so that they can communicate that to the developer and the engineers, please feel free to call them.
Yeah, but that's my only thought, and there may be every reason already explored and why that's not feasible, but I just thought it might bias that space, because I do worry about them being so close to that and having to cut the trees that we don't want cut to do their building. And I would stand with everybody that it is way too dense and does not make any sense. And I'm assuming these are going to be well-fed homes, which I could be wrong, but, with our water issues. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak on this issue?
George Cottrell, 62 Indian Hill Road, and I was wondering where the septic systems are going to end up.
They do have a diagram with that outlined.
So they haven't been fully designed yet, because this is just a conceptual phase, but there is an above-ground stormwater system. I'm sorry, you said septic systems. They're located to the western side of the triplexes. It's pretty small in that there's small rectangular boxes there outside of the open space area.
Up there?
Above the green. They're not in the green area, but they're hard to identify.
We live below that, and I'm just hoping nothing gets out of there to contaminate the area. Because right now, we're dealing with the PFAS. Years ago, we dealt with the gas additive. So
Yeah, that will go through a pretty rigorous permitting process through DEM at the next stages of review if we get there. Any water contamination, all those things will have to be addressed at that stage. This is a very, very high-level conceptual plan intentionally, so once you get approved, you start doing all of your engineering. So I apologize, because I know it's difficult, because it is concept, but those will be fully engineered and reviewed by the town and the state when we get to that point.
All right, thank you very much.
You can also pick up, you can ask for a copy of the plans at the planning office once they do design it a little bit further, so that you can evaluate it with your neighbors.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Anyone else? I saw someone get up earlier that wanted to speak. You're all set.
I just have
Okay.
one quick question for
Okay.
do you know what the distance is between the backs of those, the two triplexes and that no-cut buffer? Do you know?
Yeah, I was just looking at that earlier, so it's kind of hard on this plan. There's a couple of different lines. There's a 75-foot no-cut buffer line. It looks like the center triplex there, just inside of the cul-de-sac, is 45.6 feet from the property line to the building. So that'll be no-cut buffer, 45.6 feet, if I'm reading that correctly. The one closer to Bulgamarsh is 44.1 feet to the building corner, so that green strip is approximately 45 feet wide as part of the 75-foot no-cut buffer.
Yeah, no, I'm trying
He's trying to see what the.
what is it between that no-cut and the back of the building?
The 10 feet, 9 feet.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have the spec, but it's probably 10 feet.
Yeah.
That's my guess, 9, 10.
So look, I mean, it does look like there might be again, these are all a balance, but there may be an opportunity. I think the road where it's coming in is probably in the best position to be far enough away from the neighbors, but I think as you get in, do you have a little landscaped island coming in? Is that what I'm seeing there? Right after that, if it curved a little bit closer to the top of this, and you pulled those buildings a little bit away, that would put the building a little closer to the no-cut on the top of the drawing, and it would bring the backs of those buildings, just give them a little bit more backyard between the no-cut buffer. So it would introduce a slight curve in the road, but I think it would be,
If we did move that road.
or does that put you in the?
You would be within the 75-foot. We're right on the line on both ends of the 75-foot no-cut. So the road is literally the only thing. There's only a few feet in between either side of the roadway and the no-cut.
Okay, so the no-cut is, all right.
Whatever they want. We can.
What about the project?
Well, what I have for open issues right now is a meeting that the planning board is going to coordinate with any abutters that want to attend, along with the developer and whoever he chooses to bring to the meeting. Second was a site walk. Third, I want to make sure on that HPHC letter, they referred to additional information that he referenced in it, and this is the 7/28/26 letter. I want to make sure they provide that information to us so that we can respond to it and determine the next steps there. And I do want to clarify as much as we legally can. I want to understand the water for that area. Who is providing the water? And I want to request everything that we are entitled to by law, that we understand that. We do not want to contribute to the problems that we're having in that area right now. Stu made a good point about the added protection for those long, narrow areas. If there's anything in the homeowners association that you can do to maintain those areas, to make sure that if anyone is encroaching, that, you can put a stop to that. Ms. Anderson's concerns about written consent from the gas company for water and construction equipment, whatever we can request, that we go ahead and do that. Now, is there anything from the board that that we've missed?
I'd like to add on to that with the gas company. I have been on other projects, and we hear that they have permission to go, onto the gas line, but I would like to see any documentation be put into our files.
Okay. Stu, anything to add? Adam? Alan? Planning office, are all those agreeable to you, and did I miss anything important at this stage?
Excuse me. Agreeable. The question I have is the homeowners association restrictions. They don't have to do the homeowners documents until the final plan.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm just asking if if that's something he could do,
Definitely.
Okay.
whatever stage. Yes, sir?
May I comment on the board's comment?
Sure, come on up.
A.J. Miranda, 500 Main Road. She mentioned, excuse me, that about the location of the gas line. It would be nice if we saw that on the depiction of the area. And what I really want to get at is this general idea about preliminary plans, and we don't have to deal with this until a final plan. The problem with that is you waste everybody's time. If the gas company comes in and says, well, you can't do this, you wasted hours and hours and hours of public's time because you have to wait till the final plan. And that's all I wanted to comment on.
And, sir, we understand that more than you could possibly imagine. The developers do, the attorneys do, and we do as well. We are trying our best, and we are requiring everything that we can as early in the process as we can. But state law is making that very challenging for us. So we don't disagree with you, but we are trying our best to do that. We don't, want to have these 4 or 5 hour meetings either. We request it as soon as we can. Thank you.
Can I comment on the cemetery?
Sure.
So I believe the cemetery that, the cemetery that the state knows about is, we haven't documented it with the state yet because we still have to finalize it with the Historic Cemeteries Commission, is the Abraham Lincoln Burial Ground, and that's on the other side of Indian Hill. Okay? It's in the woods on the other side of Indian Hill. What was concerning was whether there was any Indian burials or another unknown, because we didn't find that cemetery until we were looking at the GIS. I'm going, oh, there's a cemetery back there. We didn't even know about it. So we're still in the process of documenting it, but we haven't been able to. We found it once, but we have to go over a stone wall and then other property and then overgrowth, and now we can't even get to it because of the overgrowth. So we can't document it. But that's the only one that I know, but the question was from neighbors or people that lived in that area since they were kids. They thought that there was another one on this property, like either Indian or some other that we don't know.
And just to let everyone know, we have tried to impose as many restrictions as we reasonably can on that to find out if there's anything there, but we have to have more specific information. We cannot hold up this developer or other developers based on what we think is there. So if anyone has any documented proof of what it is and where it is, please let our planning office know as soon as possible so that we can make the right decisions. But we can't hold up a development until we have a little bit more concrete information on it. We will ask for as much as we can, but we are limited. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to add?
Is there anything about the PFAS stuff yet coming in
Well,
this area? We didn't hear about that.
Is there anything that our planning office can tell us about the area of contamination of Crandall Road, that area? How far down it goes and what implications that has for any developments that we're considering?
I think all we know is what we've heard from DEM in terms of testing of different well sites, so we don't have a map at this point. But DEM and Department of Health also noted that when it comes to development, it's really about having each new well tested, and then at this point, the regulations don't require testing for PFAS, but they would say that we should highly recommend it to anybody who's doing any well testing or any wells in an area. But they are not looking to stop all development based on that. So that's what we know at this point. So
I think as much as we can be involved, and I know people have said it's not in our purview, that particular area, but we are concerned about it, and we want to make sure that we're making the right decisions for any development going in. So as much as we can be involved, as much as we can understand the issue, it'll help us in making decisions. We don't want to put any residents or future residents at risk.
Just quick clarification. This is, you're proposing to use North Tiverton to service?
That's right.
But we don't have any written documentation that they can supply it at this point.
That's correct.
Okay. So as soon as we can require that information, we absolutely need to do that.
Just to
which
add
we've
on
already
to
talked
that.
about.
North Tiverton currently services the 2 duplexes, Mark?
That is correct.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since we don't know exactly where this PFAS outbreak, ground zero is, we have ideas. We're guessing it's the fire station, but we don't really have an idea. We don't have a map yet. Should we start discussing these things with new developments that come up within like a half-mile radius of that area and say that it's a cheap test to get maybe the closest area to that outbreak area on any property that's being thing, see if there's any trace of anything in the entry to the whatever development area you see, give us a safe kind of starting point that, okay, we don't find anything here, so we can keep talking. It would be really rotten to get farther in and find out that the groundwater traveled, and now we got this issue after we're halfway through the procedure, and everything gets stopped and wastes all our time, pretty much what they were saying. I mean, what would it take, a couple of $100 tests at the beginning of a development entry? And say, hey, is there anything close to it? Is there any kind of thing that we have?
well, you'd have to dig the well before you could test it. So,
Yeah.
so at this point, again, there's a limited amount of capacity right now that DEM has to do all that testing.
Yeah.
They are looking at the area. They have contacted every single well within the area that they feel there may be some issues. And so every single person that is in that area has been made contact with. So at this point, until we hear more from DEM and we have those maps, I don't think there's really a lot we can do from the planning.
We don't
board's
have
perspective.
margins yet.
We don't have margins yet, yeah.
Can I just inject something? So I have a personal friend who lives 4.1 miles away from the Crandall Road Fire Station, and he had DEM engineers at his house test his water, and it popped hot for PFAS and offered him a filtration system of 4.1 miles away. They're at his door.
I think that's one of the things, we've talked about this with our planning office, to try and get a map, to try and get, an area designated, that we can say, hey, these are the potential developments that we have within this location that we need further information on. But right now, we have not been involved in the process at all, so we're at a disadvantage with this.
Yeah.
The town hall, the town administrator, and the town council, the other executives are taking charge of this. It's not in our purview right now, from what we've been told, but as soon as we can get additional information, we'd like to do that.
Yeah, there will be a public meeting that'll be announced very soon, but with DEM, Department of Health, and the town as well. So people will be able to get a lot more information after that meeting. We just don't have a lot of information right now to share.
Okay, I know we have a couple of people that would like to speak briefly.
Hi, I'm Kendra
Next week.
Furman. I live at 31 Saudi Pond Ave, and
I'm sorry, could you repeat your name? Could you repeat?
Just hold on while this lady is speaking, and then we'll
my name is
follow up.
Kendra Furman.
Kendra.
I live at 31 Saudi Pond Ave. My well is 250 feet away from contaminated wells on Pershing Ave. I was not contacted by the DEM, and when I finally did contact them, I was denied a test. They said my well was clean. They have no evidence of that they can provide to me. They have not tested all possible contaminated wells. So, sir, your comment is not a fact. Okay?
My comment was really just about what DEM is doing. And they
Well,
have,
they're not taking
again, I
care
don't-
of people with potentially contaminated wells. 250 feet. I could throw a rock.
I'm just telling
and
you
hit my
what
neighbor's
DEM
well.
is doing. I'm not suggesting that they shouldn't do more, that it doesn't go anything. All I can do is tell you what we've heard from DEM to this point, so.
Well, I'm
And
just
again,
letting you know
we'll learn more.
that there's people in town that need to have their wells tested that can't, that'll have to pay out of pocket, and then have to pay out of pocket for the treatment. And then when we get tied into town water, pay for that too.
So I'm just going to say.
I know it's not in your purview
Well,
right now.
that's what we've heard, but we will try and get as much information as we can.
I'm just letting you
Our
know the
town
frustration of
council-
some of us here.
Sure, thank you.
Our town council is doing the best they can. They're trying to get information. They have scheduled a meeting. It was posted. It is at the high school for next week. I believe it's the 10th.
Good. Well, hopefully I can get some resolution and get my well
11th.
tested.
It was on the Tiverton Happening site. I know it was posted there. I don't know where else
Yeah,
it's
no,
posted.
I'm aware of it, and
Okay.
I will be there.
Yes.
Okay, this is not a meeting about PFAS, though.
No.
So I've got to
But we
rein
have
in
to
the
look at the
agenda,
big
please.
picture. This is the planning committee.
This
Thank
is the
you.
planning board, and we appreciate your comments, though. Thank you. Okay.
I would just like to add something, historical information. We have a fire station, but there was also another fire station in that area. The one that we have now replaced the one that was on Bulgamash Road. And there is a requirement in for new development to have potable water available. It's in our subdivision and our town code. Thank you.
We've also looked up the comprehensive plans, and we're finding that out as well, so.
But that doesn't get disseminated to us.
Okay, let's just get a reset here of where we are. We understand the resident concerns. We want to do as much as we can, but we also have to stay, unfortunately, in our lane to some extent, or to a large extent, but we will do everything we can. We're also concerned about it. We also live, many of us, not far from that area, or have relatives that do, so. Okay, let's get back to this. I've outlined 5, 6, 7 concerns. Did I miss anything? Okay, next step, Todd?
I don't think we're ready to make a vote this evening.
No.
Okay. So
But we
the
do
next
need
step-
to get a lot of this information done before the next meeting so that it can move ahead. So Ed wants to schedule the site walk before we leave today as much as we can, get some dates pinned down.
So I'll just propose the dates now, just to kind of get an idea, so you can start looking at your schedules. In order to meet the requirement for notice, we have to give 48 hours. Monday is a holiday, so Monday's out. It's VJ Day.
Okay.
So that leaves us Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of next week.
No, it's not. Look, it's the sign over there. It's the 10th. Right on clerk's door.
August 10th.
Okay, so let's just look, Tuesday to Thursday, was it going to be like late morning?
It's going to be in the morning.
Okay.
What time? Like 8?
It wouldn't be 8, it would be 9, it would be 9 o'clock or 10.
I'm not going to any of them unless they're before 9.
Okay.
Okay. And that's fine. This is an invitation for those that want to go to either or both.
You know, it's not, I work for a living.
It's not fair.
Tuesday's out. I can't make Tuesday.
Okay, Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday morning, I'm available.
Alan,
On the
can
12th?
you?
Yeah,
I don't know the
Wednesday.
calendar.
12th?
12th.
I could do it.
Okay.
Stu, do you want to attend either or both site walks? Okay, is Wednesday
Wednesday.
okay? Okay. Wednesday, the 12th. Rosemary and Alan, that's okay?
I just said, yeah.
Feel like I've
12
lost
o'clock.
control.
You say
Um,
No,
he
no,
hasn't-
we're gonna have two site walks. We're gonna have one at Spring Street, one at
Okay.
1588.
But you said the 12th at
At,
noon?
not, at, no, at like 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning.
9 in the
10 in
morning.
the morning, we go better.
Yeah, I'd go for 10.
10.
I'd go for 10.
For anybody. That works. I don't get it.
Okay. So Wednesday, the 12th, at 10 a.m., starting at whatever
Yeah,
site
Mark.
Mr. Mello can arrange.
That's good. And so we can start at 1588, and then we'll work our way over to Spring Street. Sure. Okay, thank you.
You need to
We're
set
gonna
a
do
time at
10.
Spring Street.
Oh, we have to set a time, that's right, because we have to
Either
do,
10:30 or 11.
all right, so we'll do 11.
11.
On Wednesday?
Yes.
Can you just let Ed know where we should park, or if there's any restrictions at either site?
I just gotta find out from the 1588 Bugamash Road that I let the condo tenants know, because there's only, driveway in and out, so I don't know if we can tie all that up on the right-hand side.
Additional parking before it that we could walk to, possibly?
Well, you can walk down into it, but you're not gonna really, it's all full of briars and
Mhm.
ticks, and you're not gonna get far into it, so.
I got you.
Okay.
Park at the flea market and walk
Yeah,
over.
can we
It's
park
really
at
not
the
that
flea
far away.
market and walk down?
Or you could break a little, get permission from the lady.
I would just to keep this meeting going, if we could just have Ed work out the details with Mr. DeMello, and then let the board know. Okay, so we're all set with that, so we will continue the public hearing until, what's this, September 1st? September 1st, planning board meeting. We have the time clock at September 4th. Do we want to bump that out now, or just leave it at September 4th?
Why don't we leave it for now, and
Okay.
if we need to reassess at the next
okay?
meeting.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, item number 3. This is a public hearing, major land development, 1248 Stafford Road, plat 215, lots 106 and 107, TD Realty Construction Office and Storage. Attorney Landry, you're up again. This is in the pedestrian-friendly zoning district.
Apologize, Madam Chair, you're probably getting sick of me, but Attorney Matthew Landry, on behalf of the applicant, Tim DeSilva to my left, Bill Smith to my right, the project engineer. We had concluded the last public hearing. I think the theme of that was the architectural design of the building. There are a few photos that we submitted to the planning board. I don't know if you have a slide for it, but there was an architectural rendering that was submitted in the record. Actually, if you want to start with the existing view that you had up on the site, sorry. Those photographs were taken just recently from the street view. There was some questions about the existing vegetation along the single-family residence on lot, I think that's 107. These photos just show accurately the arborvitaes and some of the landscaping improvements that my client had made recently to the property. There was an architectural rendering that was updated that I think we can all agree is a substantial improvement to the metal box design that was previously proposed. That's more in line with the form-based code regulations, sort of like a fake second story, making it look like there's a second story with windows. Dressed down some of the design with the color, and then the kind of roofed porch area to the front of the building. It's an architectural concept, but certainly in line with what the board saw for the building, as opposed to just kind of the boilerplate, metal building with metal roof and not many architectural features. So he went for a more New England style, if you will, view of the building. I think that was the last request that the planning board asked that we submit. So we put that forward with your consideration and any comments you may have from the last meeting.
Stu, I know you had concerns the last meeting. This is definitely a step up for that. We appreciate that.
I agree with Cheryl. It's a big step up. My only thought is the building materials may not be completely consistent with our architectural standards for pedestrian-friendly destination district. I'd be willing to compromise on some of those issues. I'm sure that the staff reviewed the architectural standards for pedestrian-friendly and maybe gave you some advice, and are satisfied that what you presented is more or less consistent with what our regulations require. Has the staff done any of that? Apparently not.
No, we've looked into this.
I would suggest one thing, and again, this has to be practical, it has to work for the applicant. Is there a way of reorienting the building so that the side of the building that has the 2 levels of windows and that porch-like feature would actually be what is mostly visible from Stafford Road? And the trucks would then go along the side and come into the garage doors are rather are not should be hidden from Stafford Road as much as possible. So if you've got the radius distance to move your trucks from Stafford Road into the garages, that would be a big improvement. And then the longer side of the building, which is more attractive, that would front on Stafford Road. And that's what people on Stafford Road, whether they're in cars or pedestrians, because we do have some very nicely designed buildings in that immediate neighborhood. I'm thinking of Barcelo's Restaurant.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. That is the current proposal.
Oh,
so the more attractive side will be facing Stafford Road.
Okay,
with the,
that would satisfy my concern. So I think we've made a big improvement here.
Right. And the doors are facing north, right?
Yep.
Right. That's what they had mentioned last time. So
Okay, that's
very nice.
Yep. That's good. We'll still need some additional landscaping because the landscaping there now is virtually non-existent.
I think just write down your thoughts when we get to that part, so that we can add that.
Yes, but
this looks nice.
But this looks nice.
So the questions that I had, Weston and Sampson provided a long list of items. I did not get a chance to see your responses to those due to my schedule.
It just came out today.
Yeah, I couldn't get through all of them.
I didn't even try to get through them. So we
hadn't received those until like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So that's why a week ago. So that's why you're only getting the responses now.
Okay.
Otherwise, we would have gotten those far in advance.
Could we also get Weston and Sampson's responses to what Bill has provided us, just to make sure that they're comfortable with your.
A lot of the comments, were they've asked for drainage pipe, including pipe sizes, invert connection points, design points, profiles. We've got gutters on the building, and they go to a rain garden in the back of the building. There's a lot of comments that really are not so applicable to a smaller project like this on an existing commercial site that's currently paved or impervious. They want a full-blown stormwater analysis. We do have drainage calculations. So we take the roof of the new building, which is over an impervious area. We're taking that, we're going to treat that, we're going to infiltrate that. So we're certainly making the situation better.
Understood, and I got a little bit of the sense of that from reading Weston and Sampson's comments. But Have they been given a copy of your responses? Do you know that they?
I forwarded to Ed.
Yes, they were sent, Bill's comments.
Okay, so if James Pearson wishes to comment further, he can do that. Okay, then that would satisfy my concern.
I did get a chance to go through about 3/4 of them before the meeting tonight, and most of them were just not applicable. They were asking for something that they already do, and so it was kind of redundant, a lot of the questions.
Yep,
And
okay.
so, of course, that doesn't answer the question, but they seem mostly to be not applicable, most of them. And most of them, the other ones were like, sure, no problem, yes, we can do it. That's what it was. I did a
that's
quick
fine.
I only
That's
had
fine.
about 25 minutes to look at it real quick.
That's fine.
But we have to defer to whenever everyone gets a chance to take a look at them and goes through them, but they look pretty standard, like, we don't do that already, or we already have that.
Yeah,
space.
I've been through all of these,
Yeah.
and there were probably about 70% of them were,
Yeah.
they listed the standard, but then they also noted that that standard had been met.
Yeah, right.
And then they had a number of them that were not applicable, and then they had a number of ones that said the board may wish to require this. So there were very few that, where there was anything. And I think in Mr. Smith's responses and everything, he's noted in certain cases where he can adjust those things on his drawings, make those modifications. So I think, with those, there's probably about 10 items where he had talked about making those modifications on the drawings. And then a couple things that typically we require, where we reach out to DPW for anything like that. So a lot of things where we don't ask the developer, the engineer, to go around reaching to all the different departments, but we can collect that information, so. But yeah, I'm satisfied with the responses after going through this and also talking with Weston and Sampson prior to the Bill's response, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Ed, did you notice anything else that stood out to you that we still have to resolve before we take the next step?
On the comments from Weston and Sampson, Bill, could you just go over the existing site as it is right now, as it relates to stormwater and the impact?
Currently,
From the
it's asphalt, predominantly asphalt, recycled asphalt, limited lawn. There's no stormwater controls on the property. It basically sheet flows off of the site based on the direction of topography. So there's no stormwater system to speak of.
So with this, there's going to be an improvement.
Yes, so if you go to the site plan, behind the building, we're going to collect any of the water that comes off the new roof. It's going to be 1 inch of water over that new impervious surface will be directed to a rain garden for cleaning, infiltration, and stormwater attenuation.
And are you open to the additional landscaping that Mr. Hardy had mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. I'd be happy to meet you at the property. It does have more cover than like that picture there. There's a fence and a split rail fence and a bunch of trees. Like what you see there, that runs
There it
all
is.
the way to the church. So like that other picture kind of makes it look pretty open, and the congregational side is also very grown in. But we do landscaping. Like I'll gladly grab some trees and whatever it takes to, it's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Cheryl, I have another quick question. Sorry. Bill, can you just go over the area between the property and the abutting church? Is there anything else that will be additionally proposed for that area?
Right now, there's a driveway, the separate driveway for the house is there with some lawn behind it. There are some trees there. I was talking with Tim earlier, and you can't see the church from his property now because of the trees, but we would be also amenable to add some trees there if that helps to help screen this property from the church.
Anything else? Anyone?
No, I think there was also a note in there from from Weston Sampson about stormwater controls as it relates to contours, but there's really no changes to the site from what I could tell in terms of
Very
the
little,
contours. So.
Other than just to feather in the grade, the adjacent grades to the new building, so we're not proposing any significant changes. Can I just back up to the landscaping for the church? We are putting our septic system, it's going to be an advanced treatment bottomless sand filter along that boundary line. It's inset from the boundary line, but it will be there, and I can't have any trees within 10 feet of it. So I won't be able to pull a full screen of vegetation there, but we can certainly add some.
And I'm sorry, Mr. De Silva, you've already agreed to do what you can between your property and that of the church.
Yeah, like I said, right now it's actually really grown in. If you come down Stafford that way, like if you look down, it's pretty grown in this time of year. We could add trees inside. You know, she actually mentioned us adding rocks along the edge of our property to distinguish that. I'm fine with that too. I've been meaning to do it. We've been super busy and, you know, labor and backed up and everything, but we will satisfy them with, you know, whatever she requested, the rocks, trees.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a question, though. Where are we going to mark these landscape improvements so we can confirm that they are made? Can you put those on a site plan, Mr. Smith?
We can. We will have to come back for final plan. If we can do that on that plan, I think the administrative officer could possibly review that.
Do the landscaping plan at that point, anything else that you had open from Weston and Sampson that you want to make sure that you check off, we could do at that point? Does that need to come back to the board, or are we saying administrative officer can sign off on that?
We can see it if we want to.
I'd like to see the landscaping
Okay.
plan.
You're not making a decision tonight, are you?
Yes.
You are? You have a
Yes,
decision
I'd
ready?
like to.
Okay.
Well, I do. I can ask the board if they do as well. I'd like to move on from this.
Okay.
Do you have any concerns with that?
If you have a decision ready, rock on.
Okay. Well, if we could have a motion to approve the master plan, combined master plan and preliminary plan review for 1248 Stafford Road.
Someone asking for public comment.
Is this open or no?
If you have any comments, absolutely. Sorry, I thought I already did that.
You can count on me.
Okay.
Meredith Mucci, East Road. I was expecting a clock on this building. Joking. This is almost more for the planning board than for this particular project, but I want to understand. So this is a pedestrian-friendly zone. Does that mean, like, are there sidewalks here? No? Will there ever be sidewalks here?
Further down on
There's a
Bliss
sidewalk
Four
on the other
Corners.
side of the road.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one on the other side.
I believe the state is putting in sidewalks further
Oh,
down.
okay.
on
Yeah.
Bliss.
All right.
But they're put on the same side that currently has, like George's Gas, that side of the street, there's a sidewalk after George's property that runs all the way to Four Corners.
All right. And then I think that you've probably explored every possibility of having this be closer to the road.
Yeah, like you mentioned that at the last meeting, it's really because of the truck traffic, you know, going around the existing building, and, you know, the thing's pretty set back. It's really gonna look a lot better than the property looks right now.
All right, but it was more of a question for the planning board about those sidewalks and getting those, like, any opportunity we have to get sidewalks implemented. I know sometimes it's only new construction or whatever. It seems like he already has trees in and everything, but, all right, thank you.
Would anyone else like to? Okay. Here I am from the church again. We're getting attacked from both sides. I just happened to look at these. So this is an above-ground septic system? Is that what I'm looking at?
That's correct.
An above-ground one, okay. On our property, near our property line. You have a beautifully planted rain garden between your building and our woods. It would kind of be nice to put that on our side
so that we could see the rain garden instead of your building.
Well, unfortunately, that's where the septic system is.
No, but it's right next to the building, right?
The rain garden is on the east side of the building.
Right,
Back
right next
side
to
of the
our
building,
woods.
Along that strip, yes.
Which nobody's going to see.
Bill, isn't that to handle
That was,
roof runoff?
that was the best place in terms of grading and function to put it there. It wasn't intended to be a site amenity as opposed to a stormwater treatment, clarification, infiltration system.
Okay. And the boulders, are they going to be along that edge so that you don't put any more stuff into our woods?
Yeah, so we were planning on running the boulders on your line. We can have Bill stake that line. You know,
Okay.
he'll stake that line, you know, we can delineate that, run boulders down it. We'll put some more
Well,
trees.
because your boulders are in our woods now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, some of them are on Barcelos' property, to be totally honest with you. Well, but John, you know, treats me well, and he's fine with that.
The back of the building, is that going to be like the pretty part, like I asked?
It'll look nice back there. I really think what you're looking at right now, it's really gonna be better, honestly.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at a dumpster now.
And I mean, we've been on hold, right. So, we've been on hold, like, I've been trying to do this for like a long time, well over a year, and like, I wanna get this going, you know, and it's kinda like right now with the property, I'm kinda tired of what I'm gonna do until, you know, I get to this point, so, you know. We plan to clean up all that side and pretty up your side, really.
Thank you. We'd appreciate it.
I think she's negotiating is what it is, yeah.
I'm willing to, you know, you're welcome to come on the property and like, you know.
Oh, we
tell
can
me-
see it
Yeah,
quite well.
I know you can. I remember I went to one of your meetings and
I know.
charged my daughter and stuff.
So
We can do that again if you'd like to.
So we will have that nice strip on the back on our side too, besides
Yeah,
your...
you'll have a nice strip. I mean, the thing that I think maybe not everybody understands is, so the garage door side of the property and your side of the property, there's like a 5 to 6 foot grade change there. So the building's like kind of carved into the hillside. So the building actually won't even appear as tall, like on your side.
Right, good.
You know, so, because it's cut into the land.
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, with your rain garden comment, it wouldn't really work to, the water naturally wants to go to the low point and, you know, that would be the high side. But, you know, I don't think you guys are gonna have an issue with how the ultimate end product looks.
Okay.
Like,
All
besides
right.
the board, like between me and you.
You know where to
I'm right
find
there,
him.
you know where to find him.
I know where he lives,
You know what I mean?
yes.
You know where I live too.
Okay,
you know,
I think we're going to move on. We're going to move on now.
1 minute, I just.
Oh, absolutely.
Just 1 second, please. Sally Black, 64 Broadview Drive. I'd just like to thank you, an existing business, trying to make it look nicer and listening to his neighbors. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else before we move on? Okay.
I'm just going to jump in here for a quick second. Pete Walsh, 45. I'm a little late to the party. Is it Tim?
Yep.
Tim, congratulations. You know, business is good.
Thank you.
The only thing I'm concerned about, and this is, like I said, this is new to me, is are there going to be more trucks? Is there going to
No.
be more traffic?
No,
Like what
no.
kind of materials?
This isn't a
are-
growth thing, this is, well, I mean, we've grown over the years and we've taken over the property. We got bigger trucks, we got more trucks. We're not anticipating growth as much as we want to get our bigger trucks inside a garage that can fit them. Right now, the garage we have doesn't fit them. You know, that's really, it's a space thing. It's, you know, we're under 10 men total, including me. We usually 7 to 10 guys. We don't anticipate, you know, more than that. Office-wise, it's my wife. It's not, you know, we're not a, you know, 40, 50-man shop or anything like that.
Are you located right next door?
I don't live on that property, but I have a house on Hearst Lane in Tiverton.
Is that part of the property?
Yeah, that's part of the property. We remodeled that house. I have my aunt on the first floor and a tenant on the second.
I think you required it from somebody who owned Innovative
Yeah,
Construction.
yeah, Gifford. Yep.
Yeah, and-
I bought it off
Okay.
Randy and, yep.
Yeah. Made it look nice.
Thank you.
So with the new project there, like you said, you're not going to have more traffic.
No.
Because what I'm looking at right now is, you know, potential project off of Indian Road. We have this, we have the new development down here on Fish Road. I mean, there's a lot of new things popping up, you know, what about traffic? You know, what are the goals of Tiverton? You know, how much more development do we need, you know? The casino.
I
you know,
think that's a separate discussion, you know, from this project. We have to
I
focus
do,
on
I just had to
him.
jump in and kind of say that because, you know, it's a lot of
We-
stuff popping up around here.
We understand that.
Yeah.
We just have to focus on Mr. De Silva
Gotcha.
right now in this
Thanks, Tim.
project.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you. Okay. So I would like to propose that we approve the master plan and preliminary plan review contingent upon an enhanced landscaping plan that Stu can submit any requests, particular requests on, but that they provide that during the final plan review. Our planning office will work with Attorney Landry and Mr. De Silva on any unresolved Weston and Sampson issues that we need to make sure that we have the right plans in place for. And we'd also like to include that approval at final plan will come back to the planning board, back to the full planning board for any comments, reviews, final adjustments. Stu, did I miss anything there?
No.
Okay, Adam?
What is it coming back to the planning board for?
For final plan review. Instead of just administrative officer sign-off, it would just come to us for a final plan review.
I'll make a motion for a conditional master plan, a combined master plan and preliminary plan approval.
Second.
Thank you, Stu.
With the conditions that we outlined?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second.
Discussion
Discussion, any discussion?
on the conditions.
What conditions are we gonna review? It's just a landscaping. right?
Landscaping plan, any of the Weston and Sampson open items from the planning office to make sure that they're taken care of for final plan
Isn't
review.
Ed doing that?
No, he's a clerk.
No.
It's a
Oh, okay.
planning, it's part of the planning
Well,
board's.
We can, what we're doing this time, Adam,
Yeah.
is because we didn't get the information from Weston and Sampson until late, not everyone has gone through line by line. We just want to make sure that this is
Okay, so
done and
Ed's
we
gonna
have
dig
one.
that information up and we have to review it at the meeting.
Right.
Okay.
So we're trying to grant him approval with the minimum amount of work. And that's why we're trying to grant approval tonight.
Yeah, okay,
So if we have to put on a few conditions that they're willing to meet, then we want to do that to get to the next step. Any other discussion?
I just want to
Please.
apologize. Yeah, no, I'm here.
Please.
Anything else to say?
I do. I need clarification about this landscaping design and Mr. Hardy's involvement in that. I'm not trying to cut you out, Mr. Hardy, by any stretch. I don't think there should be negotiations outside of the board about what those are, or Mr. Hardy should have some unilateral control over those. So I'm just trying to understand what the goal is here.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be the czar
I don't
of
think you are.
landscaping. I never asked for that.
I know.
I just listened to the applicant, and I'm satisfied with the applicant was responding to other people's concerns, and but I do feel it's important for the landscaping plan to come back to the whole planning board for us to have one last look at it. Okay? So if there are any issues, the applicant should go to the planning office. I mean, I was hoping that the applicant would go to the planning office on the architectural design. Now, it turns out that worked out fine, thank you. But apparently, the planning office wasn't involved in that in any way.
Okay, can I make a suggestion? Just in the interest of time, because this is a pretty benign request and an important one, that we condition the approval on supplemental landscaping in the areas discussed, subject to final plan approval administratively, and if Mr. Spencer deems it necessary to send it back to the board, I think it's within his purview to do that. Because we're talking about another 30 days of delay and just with the public hearing, and I think in the interest of getting this building built, and the amount of time that my clients put into it, I think the landscaping plan can be supplemented in the areas. My client's certainly shown an interest in doing that and is not argumentative to that. But I don't want to get into a back and forth about the size of the plants and the distances between them. I think supplementing the landscaping in those areas is certainly warranted, and we can condition the approval on that, subject to the administrative officer's review and final sign-off. And if there's a discrepancy, he can always send it back to the planning board.
One of the conditions that was proposed is final plan approval by the planning board, not administrative.
Right.
So that's the opposite of what you're saying, right, Matt?
Well, again, it's up to the planning board. I think with the supplemental landscaping we're going to put it in those areas. We don't have an issue with that. I'm not sure how detailed the landscaping plan is going to be, but I don't see why that can't be done administratively, respectfully.
Well, I think we'd have some issues, because we haven't had a chance to review all the.
Yeah, I think that was just one part of it that
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Hardy brought up, and I agree with you that that wouldn't necessarily hold anything up. But because we did not see the whole Weston and Sampson, any of the responses to that, we just wanted to make sure that we satisfied some of the concerns.
Hold on, can we do something where like he can apply for his building permit and like get a foundation in the meantime? Because the foundation, that's not gonna move.
No.
Why can't we do some of it?
I'm sorry to speak, but like, I've been trying to do this since literally January.
Yeah.
I'm losing month by month by month. Now I'm getting kicked down
Right,
the
it's like
line
this is the
again.
busiest season.
I need to put a $279,000 deposit on this building to secure it in 90 days from now. To get any type of approval, like, you know, no offense, I'm getting strung out. I'll throw $10,000 in trees up if it satisfies you, Mr. Hardy, and Sue, my neighbor. And she can hold me accountable for that, 100%.
And she will.
You know, and she will. I mean, and
You can find the trees, right?
outside of like the administrative side of this, like.
We have to
open
find
the
an
way
easier
to-
way, a way to make
you
it
know.
easier for guys like this to
I
get
mean,
these
I'm
projects
not-
through.
I'm not on a state thing
Absolutely.
here trying to, you know, max out, no offense to you and your other clients, you know, but.
Well, I think that's why we're trying to get this done.
Yes, I mean,
tonight.
I'm literally a taxpaying business. I got a $750,000 investment into this building.
Can I make a
You
suggestion
know,
on this? And we've done this in the past, and it's worked out well, because there's a lot of back and forth between Weston and Sampson and the engineer for this project, and a lot of these things can be handled with a sit-down and satisfy any of Weston Sampson's concerns as well as our concerns, make sure that all of those concerns are then reflected in the final drawings, and then it gets approved administratively in terms of addressing all of those concerns. That way, everything that Weston and Sampson, it's either in here, and we'll get a final memo from Weston and Sampson saying that they are satisfied.
I don't have a problem with that. I think what I'd like to do ideally is back this up so that we have the information and we have time to read it, so that when we come to this meeting, we can be fully prepared. But if we don't get the information until today or yesterday, we can't possibly do that and have the decisions that we want to have. So that's the frustration that we have, and we're trying to accommodate all the board members where if they want to be able to read that information, to know that they're making the right decision, they should be entitled to do that. So no one wants to delay this. We want to
Well, yeah,
approve
I think
master
this is-
plan and preliminary plan tonight.
This is six, half dozen the other. You were expecting to go to the next meeting already. We told you we'd make a decision tonight. So by doing that, we actually cut that month off, right?
Well, we still have to come back in a month for final plan
Well,
approval.
you would have had to do that anyhow. We're telling you we can get most of this out of the way tonight,
Not
'cause
if
we
it-
love the project.
We wouldn't if it was done administratively. It would cut that public
Listen,
hearing.
I believe the quickest way to get Mr. De Silva his approvals is to continue the preliminary plan hearing to September. Grant that, if board is so inclined, grant preliminary plan at that time, and then have final plan be administrative. Otherwise, what you're proposing is going to take longer to grant preliminary plan tonight, then they have to submit their final plan, then we have to advertise for a final plan hearing. That's probably October.
Okay.
So we want to do it.
No, that's kind of that's what I'm anticipating, what I'm concerned about. So it may make more sense to continue and just have the one hearing where it gets approved with all of this stuff before the board, and then final plan is
Administrative plan.
Yep.
For final plan.
I would support that.
So if Mr. Smith can get us the landscaping plan, we can get a memorandum from Weston and Sampson as to Mr. Smith's comments, or Mr. Smith, you revise the plans as necessary. What else was there? Was that it?
Yes.
How long will that take? I mean, could we do a special meeting? Could we do like another meeting just for this? Like next week?
In August?
Yeah, like next week. I mean, I don't know what the notice has to be, but I mean, like,
The problem was, we were trying to just do one meeting in August, but we can, if we can get the attendance, you know, we were trying to give people a little bit of a break too, because we've had 2 meetings a month for a very long time.
I
We
get
have
it,
no
but
problem scheduling that, but we need people to attend, and Ed had asked for that for a couple of reasons. So we don't have a problem doing that. Look, we want to do this whole process quicker. We've talked about that as a board, but we have to find a way to get the information to us so that we can make the right decisions. There isn't anyone that can turn that around when you've got a group of volunteers in a day or two. So whatever way is going to be the quickest for Mr. De Silva to move on this, I'm fine with. Let's move it along.
I mean, am I safe to put a deposit on a building that I can build it in this spot, in this footprint? I mean, or is that a lot? That's way too much to ask.
I would say at your own risk, Mr. De Silva, but I think you've heard the comments of the
you're not gonna
board.
have any issues.
Right, but what stops the next meeting from public hearing to come up and 3 more, you know?
You're right.
Susans come up and they got all these concerns and now you guys gotta reconsider.
These are called Karens.
Karen, sorry.
Is that a challenge?
So it just
Mr. De
puts us
Silva,
back
you've
in-
been very accommodating
So-
so far in working with all the various requests that we've
I
had.
appreciate it. I'm sitting through, you know, these densed up housing projects and everything too, you know, trying to just build a garage and, you know.
Well, you're going to be the first one on the next
I
agenda.
know. Oh, I'll be number 1?
You are.
Sweet. Okay.
And
So
it'll go fast. If we get the information
Yeah,
on time,
sounds good.
it'll go fast.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you agree, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as we discussed earlier, most of the Weston and Sampson stuff isn't even applicable to the project, and I think that's pretty clear, so but I agree. I think continuing it makes sense so you have all the information you want and the time to review it. It may or may not get approved at that meeting, and then it could be done administratively if it does get approved.
I don't think you should have to
I'll be
bring
back by
landscaping in front of
September.
us. Like, the guy has 100% proved
Forget
that he's
about the
gonna make the piece of.
landscaping right now.
But
The
that's what we
Weston
have
and
to review
Sampson.
again. But you said that's you said that's, we were
Yes,
going to review
because-
that again, and I don't want to. Like, the guy has done nothing but prove that he's gonna make the lot look nice, and the building's gonna look nice.
You know, you need a plan. You always need a plan.
I get it, you need a plan, I get it.
We're called the planning board
Yeah,
because we
I know,
like
he has a plan, he has a plan, he has
Okay,
a million
all
of them.
right. Enough.
All right.
We want to, in the future, ensure we get this information in plenty of time so we can expedite any process in the future. Small businesses especially, that is part of who we are in Tiverton. But we have to get the information in order to do our job. So we need to back it up so that we can do that.
We need to get comments back so that we can respond as well.
Absolutely.
I only have a week to do it. I know you've had usually a 2-week minimum that you want stuff in advance, so it can be processed, so.
Absolutely.
I'll try to adhere to that as best I can.
We're going to have a discussion with them tomorrow, Weston and Sampson.
Okay, so next step, to move this along for tonight, we're just continuing this until the September 1st meeting, continuing the public hearing to September 1st.
You have a motion pending that was seconded, that needs to be withdrawn by you, because you made that motion.
Okay, I withdraw that motion. The new motion is to continue the public hearing.
I didn't withdraw it.
He just said I
I thought
needed
Cheryl
to.
made it. Did you make it?
I did it first, and then she
apologize.
Why
did.
do we need to continue the public hearing? Just out of.
I apologize, Rosemary. Do you withdraw the motion or not?
Okay, we can't.
I most certainly do.
Okay, so the quickest way to get this gentleman, let's proceed with this. What do we need to do right now to move this along?
Rosemary, have you withdrawn the motion for the conditional preliminary plan and master plan approval?
Under duress, I will.
Okay, we'll talk later.
Okay.
Thank you. Now we need a motion to continue this hearing to September 1st, please.
Stu? Do you have that motion?
I'll make the motion to continue this hearing to September 1st meeting.
Do I have a second on that?
With the understanding that the applicant will be the first item on the agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Rosemary, what was your?
In favor.
In favor, okay.
The majority.
Ed, do you have that? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologize for this circus tonight. Ready to keep going? Yep. The next item, item number 4, Seasons Corner Market, major land development. The applicant is Colbea Enterprises LLC, representing agent Attorney Stoltzman, and I will let you take it from here.
It's my understanding, Madam Chair, members of the board, hello. It's my understanding that this matter is going to be presented for preliminary plan approval at the September 1 hearing, as noted on your agenda. And we've been asked to just give a history of the project tonight to get everybody up to speed procedurally on how we got here. Is that consistent with the chairs?
20 to 30 minute overview on the project.
Yeah, it won't take.
By 10:15, so it won't take 20 minutes.
Yeah, it'll be very, very brief, but that's all we're anticipating is that. Okay. So again, for the record, I'm Rob Stolzman at Adler, Pollock & Sheehan in Providence and represent Colbea Enterprises, doing business as Seasons Corner Market. Many of you are already, in fact, most of you are already familiar with the project from prior history, which I'll go through in a moment. Just for the record, the property is located at the corner of Sousa and Main Road and is identified as 0 Sousa Road on the northeast corner of Sousa and Main. It's known as Assessor's Plat 119, Lot 624, and is comprised of roughly an acre and a half, 66,145 square feet. It's predominantly zoned general commercial with a pedestrian-friendly portion along Main Road. The proposed project is a 3,600 square foot convenience store and with a drive-through and 4 fueling station pumps in front under a canopy. And that will present to you architectural renderings, et cetera, already submitted with our preliminary plan application, are hundreds and hundreds of pages and several sections of plans and renderings. We're at the request of the TRC, in fact, and I'll go through this timing of that, we're adding a signage plan to show where the individual signs are rather than by key. So it'll be a little bit easier to understand where the signage is on the site. As far as history, some of you will recall that through the mid-1980s, the property was part of the oil bulk storage facility. This particular property was a fuel depot. It had a half a dozen or 8 tower fuel holding tanks on it, but it was mostly a transfer station. Then in March of 2017, we acquired the property, and acquired the property. In February of 2021, February 2nd, 2021, there was an informal concept plan review hearing before the planning board. And in March 16 of 2022, an application for major land development master plan review was submitted. We had 3 public hearings and 1 technical review committee meeting, respectively May 17, 2022, the technical review committee on June 16, 2022, another planning board public hearing on July 12, 2022, and then a final public hearing on September 13, 2022. The planning board then on September 28, 2022 denied the master plan, and that was appealed to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And on December 7, 2022, the Zoning Board held a public hearing, and on January 4, 2023, the Zoning Board of Appeals voted to reverse the Planning Board's initial denial of the master plan approval. On June 6, 2023, the Planning Board reheard the master plan application and granted master plan application approval with 2 conditions. Condition 1, acquiring special use permits for the fueling station and another special use permit for the drive-through. During that time, the Preserve Tiverton and Ms. Tracy Haywood in a butter across the street filed an appeal of the Zoning Board of Appeals overturning your planning board's initial denial. And on June 24, 2024, the Superior Court ruled and upheld the Zoning Board of Appeals decision. During that time, then, the applicant filed for the special use permits, as I just indicated, and that application was filed on September 1, 2023. There were 10 public hearings on the special use permits beginning December 6, 2023 and going through April 2, 2025. Half a dozen witnesses, expert witnesses for each side, planners, traffic engineers, environmental consultants, lighting consultants, and noise consultants. On May 2025, the Zoning Board of Review voted to grant the special use permits fulfilling the conditions of your master plan approval, and that decision was finalized at a meeting on August 12, 2025, and then thereafter recorded. On June 16, 2026, we filed the pending preliminary plan application based on the master plan approval and the special use permits. Also during this time, multiple state permits were, and even a preliminary Stonebridge Fire District in February 16, 2022, Stonebridge Fire District confirmed the water available for the project. On January 16, 2026, the Rhode Island Department of Transportation gave approval to the current plans and issued a physical alteration permit application modification reflecting the current ingress and egress. And on January 27, 2026, as required by your preliminary plan checklist, the Department of Environmental Management issued a freshwater wetlands permit and the RIPD's permit. There are no wetlands on the site, but the property adjacent to us has wetlands, so we confirmed the wetlands boundaries on the adjacent site and obtained a permit indicating we're outside of the buffer for our project. So our project has been around the block a little bit. We have master plan approval, and we're at the preliminary stage. What we anticipate doing at the public hearing is presenting for preliminary approval stage approvals. So we'll have an architect to describe the current architecture. We'll have a landscape architect to describe the landscaping. We'll also have available, and have submitted, and you'll see and we're going to provide 3 paper binders for you, for each of you, with all of that, so you have the chance to review it well in advance of September 1 or September 15. The preliminary reports and then additional reports from the experts on planning, traffic, and environmental to show that the slight evolution of the project from your master plan approval, the moving of the dumpsters, we'll describe all of this. We've moved the dumpster, we've reoriented the entrance and the exit, added an additional drive-through lane for the behind the property. That none of that affects in fact, enhances their conclusions as to their expert opinions underlying the special use permits and the original approved master plan. So that's what we'll do. We're anticipating the predominant discussion will be around the preliminary plan checklist items for preliminary plan approval. So that's how we got to where we are here today. We are also, as I said, we're supplementing the electronic materials with a revised with a revised signage plan as a result of the technical review committee meeting, and then and one plan that's been added as a result of that is a sidewalk plan showing sidewalks along Sousa Road and Main Road. Happy to answer any questions. And as far as scheduling, September 1, we're amenable. We've had discussions with your staff about September 15. That is easier for us, but and maybe for the public if we have more time. but whatever works for you, we're at your pleasure in September.
Thank you. We did discuss with the planning office scheduling a separate meeting for this project due to the volume of information that they're going to be giving us and the complexity of it and the amount of interest that we anticipate for the residents. So we did talk about holding a special meeting in September for this. We need to be able to read and absorb the information, so as soon as we can get that, that would be helpful.
So if we do, so we will continue from this meeting, but we have to have a date certain, right, Todd?
Correct.
Do we have access, for those of us who weren't part of the planning board before, a dump of all the information that has passed through this entire project to digest?
Is that part of what you're supplying to us?
I don't know if we're supplying every piece of paper that's ever been submitted on the
No,
project.
I mean, we've had it as part of our record. Do we have one central location where that's been kept?
Are you looking for the master plan submissions?
Whatever we would normally use to render decisions and all the stuff, the supporting documents, we get a whole bunch of stuff dumped on this week. Was there additional things more than that? That's all.
From the master plan?
You're not getting anything from the master plan. I believe you've already been given all of the preliminary plan application materials, except for an updated signage plan, I believe, and what was that?
Sidewalk plan.
Sidewalk plan.
Okay, so that's the answer. Yes, what we just received was everything that we need for this.
Correct.
That's all I
Oh, okay, all right. I thought
That's
you
all
were
I
asking
asked.
for the master plan.
Yeah, I wasn't here.
Yep.
I'd like to have a chance to digest it all. I did get the big dump that we just got.
Mhm.
I want to make sure there was just nothing side that I would have missed.
Well, that's what I'm trying to make sure
Yeah.
you have, or should have.
Okay.
Because it sounds like you said I wasn't here, meaning you weren't here for the master plan.
Well,
So are you asking for the master plan materials?
whatever would have went before the planning board that I was absent for, do we have a copy of something that I can digest? That's all.
What you were absent for was the master plan
Yeah.
application.
Okay.
That application is not relevant to the preliminary plan application.
Okay. So, again, my question is, the dump of information that came out this week, is that everything going forward from that to this day?
Correct.
Okay, so we just have some additional things from you. That's it.
Okay.
Now, in September, the special meeting, is that going to be the date that you already have reserved for a special meeting, or are you
Yeah, it would be
looking
the
for any date?
second, it would be the third Tuesday. So I think it's the 15th.
Can you just confirm that date? Okay. Just want to find out if everyone is going to be available for that.
I missed my opportunity.
Adam, if you have anything else to say, you can add.
2, 3, yes.
I have a sidewalk plan here. Are we saying that it's changed a little bit since June 16th?
Rob?
Yeah, the sidewalk plan is in the June 16
Yeah.
package.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
What's
I thought
not in
you
it
guys said you didn't
is,
have one, but
Mr.
I
Reposa, I think you raised it at the TRC.
For the signs.
The signage
Yeah,
is
yeah,
difficult to read because it's a tiny little symbol chart on the
Right.
signs. So we asked the engineering to blow it up and walk through where the signs are.
Okay.
Oh, June.
Oh, TRC. Okay. Okay, September meeting,
The 15th is the Tuesday.
that's August. That's
15th.
September. Okay. So September 15th for special meeting, just for seasons, unless we have to add in something else. Unless we have to add in.
Is our regular meeting the week before?
September
The
1st.
Oh, okay.
So
I
2
thought
weeks
the holiday
after.
was messing with, okay.
Rosemary? Okay. Alan?
Oh, was the 15th,
Yes.
is the 15th a Tuesday as well? Sorry.
Yes.
I don't have my calendar open, okay.
I'm good.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
You'll send a reminder out for that?
Yep.
Okay. September
Thank you, Madam
15th.
Chair, members of the board, appreciate it. And
Can we have a motion for that, please?
If we could have a motion to, is it continue, or
Yep, you got
Okay.
the hearing.
to open a public hearing for September 15th, the special meeting for seasons?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Rosemary, you, okay. Everyone's in
Thank you.
favor, Ed?
Good time.
Thank you.
Under 20 minutes.
Well under.
Butter that has this project.
Do you want to just come up so we can hear you? This isn't a public hearing, this was just an overview, so that's...
I'm a little confused on how we even got to this point, because I'm in a butter, and I'm a little concerned of how I have the zoning, this is an appeal. The 3 special use permits are at an appeal level, so I'm a little concerned on how we're here.
Okay.
And how we got here, because, you know, I don't have lawyers and the lawyers that are attached to this, and this has taken up a lot of my time. So now I'm a little confused on how the lawyers at the appeal level from the zoning board is just, this is being bypassed. And
Okay,
I feel
we
bad for
appreciate
people
that.
like Mr. De Silva, who you're saying we're too busy for, and yet we're skipping steps for large corporations like this.
We're not skipping anything. Our attorney explained it to us, because we had the same question, so I'll let him explain it to you.
Okay, well, it hasn't been explained to the abutters who actually have this under appeal.
Would you mind stating your name?
Jen Fernandez, 1049 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island.
Your appeal is pending. There is no stay preventing Colbea Seasons, whatever you want to call it, from proceeding forward at this level.
So they have the right to waste time, because if it's the 3 special use permits are denied, this is a waste of time, essentially.
It could be, but we have no authority to deny them from presenting their application to this board. There is no stay from a court prohibiting them from coming here or prohibiting this board from hearing their application.
Oh, okay. So we're just going to sit here and waste my time with this and,
Ma'am, you can apply for a stay.
Yeah.
There's no stay pending. They have a right to present their application. We do not have a right to deny them from presenting their application in the absence of a stay.
Mm-hmm. So what is your recommendation for me to do? Is to apply for a stay?
That is an option.
Okay, well, that's going to be done. That's what I'm going to do, because I don't understand how abutters are not receiving information on what this business is doing. And I have a problem, because all the people, they can have 1,000,002 experts come testify, but at the end of the day, when you're providing bogus information to obtain 3 special use permits and people are taking the time to appeal it, this is ridiculous for me to be here for all these meetings in the meantime. So I just wanted to know how we even got here. So
I can repeat the same thing I've said. They have a right to submit their application. We do not have a right to deny them from a hearing.
yeah. And the public is going to be allowed to comment on this?
It will be a public hearing where the public will be able to comment.
Okay. In the meantime, I'll be applying for a stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Okay, we're going to finish up with a few items under item 5. General Planning Board correspondence. Catherine Peruzzi, dated 7/27/26. Want to acknowledge receipt of non-project specific correspondence. Adam, did you have anything on that one, or are you all set?
I do, yeah, hold on, let me,
There's not really going to be a discussion about the actual correspondence because it's only on here to acknowledge receipt of it.
no, well, that's the issue, Todd. The receipt of the correspondence is becoming an issue. I lost count at page 400 with how much information we got 25 and a half hours before this meeting. I worked for 8 hours, right? I sleep for 8 hours. I'm here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable.
Okay.
And it makes me feel like, and I'm not the only one who feels this way, Todd, that someone's trying to make us look bad.
I'm just trying to
when we're this unprepared.
It's a valid conversation. I just want to have it during the proper portion of the agenda, okay?
On item B, is that where we're at? Because that's where she just asked me to speak, goes on item B. Planning board policies,
No, it was
procedures.
Okay.
I was just acknowledging item A. I knew you had some questions or concerns about Mrs. Peruzzi's email information. I wasn't sure exactly what it was.
No, I didn't.
But I think that would be better suited for item B, which we can start right now.
Okay.
Planning board policies and procedures, whether it's new emails, we talked about weekly updates, and I just included miscellaneous information. I think we all have a concern with getting the information in enough time that we can read it, understand it, absorb it all. We're all volunteers. We understand your office is very busy, meaning the planning office. We want to work something out that meets all of our needs. So the first, actually Todd had documented, I'm going to say about 3-4 months ago, when we had talked about what type of information flow that we could have. So we requested weekly updates. So whatever you receive in from residents, from developers, from contractors, from wherever, just give us a weekly dump of that information. And I said you could pick the day of the week, whatever works for you, but it's an electronic forwarding of information to us. We'd like it on a consistent day so that we can plan, around it. So whatever day you pick, if it's Friday, Friday before you leave. Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday, we will have every week an email from Ed and/or Chris with whatever was received until that point in time.
Yeah, I have no issues with that.
Okay. If you don't have anything, just send a quick, nothing received this week. And that way we can plan it. At the end of the month, we should have, 4 of those basically. Now, before a meeting, let me just finish that one point and then you can go. Before a meeting, we are requesting 7 full days in advance that we get the information. We understand there's emergencies that come up, but in general, can you just, again, a lot of feedback, sorry. A lot of information comes out and we want the time to go through it. So if we could have the 7 full days and just have everything. At that point, before a meeting, 7 full days, we also want to be able to receive the hard copies. Okay? So if there's something that doesn't need to wait, that you have it earlier, please put it in the box earlier. But at least the 7 full days is what we're requesting for all of us.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
No, I'll keep my mouth shut.
No.
No, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'll give them a chance.
Okay.
If that's what we're going to do, I'd love it.
So
I mean,
the only-
we shouldn't be getting messages, private messages, and emails from residents asking us if we've received emails that the planning board has gotten. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, 10 days later, we finally get those emails, like, I don't know what the holdup is. And it's frustrating, it makes me feel stupid.
So just,
I don't like not being able to explain myself.
I just ask that if you feel like you didn't get something or you feel like you're missing something, please let me know. You have to let me know. Like, if there's something, an agenda, just please let me know.
That really doesn't work. We have to have a process in place.
Right.
A standard operating process that does not vary. And because I don't know when I'm not receiving stuff.
I put the list out for you, material list.
So
Do we not get those?
Wait a minute, the one that's dated 8/4?
Yeah. So with each submission you guys are getting, you're getting a transmittal sheet showing
That's the
everything
date
that's
of the
in your
agenda,
packet. And then within that transmittal sheet, you're also getting you'll see all the information that you would have already received.
Yeah.
I think all Ed is saying is if there's
So
something.
that's what was in our mailbox.
So if something is missing from your packet, that's all, you'd have to let us know if we inadvertently done that. We're
So
not
that
saying
packet right there was in our mailbox. All right, so we're getting packets, small packets in our mailbox. We're getting flooded with emails. We don't know what we're supposed to expect in our mailbox, what we're supposed to expect in our emails. So there has to be some continuity with where our information is going and how we receive it. I can't expect to go find, either 10 to 300 pages in my mailbox and, the other half on my email or all of it in my inbox, in my mailbox or all of it in my email. I mean, we got this massive packet, like I said, yesterday at 4:37.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. That's the date on the email. And it showed up yesterday at 4:37. Yes, it did, Ed.
Okay, no, but I'm just asking, when did everybody get the email with the packet?
Oh, so I got mine yesterday at 4:37 in the afternoon. That's when it popped up in my town email.
Okay, so I have a record of when I sent it out. I'm gonna read it.
Okay. I'm going to go into my email and tell you the date that I got it, the date and time.
On Wednesday, July 29th, at 11:28 a.m. Cheryl, Stewart, Adam, Alan, Chris, Town Administrator, Rosemary,
What?
Denise, Deborah, Priscilla, were on an email with the updated materials,
Okay.
August 4th, 2026,
Let me check these.
and that I have confirmed, July 29th.
August 3rd. August 3rd is the date that I received this.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, I don't know
I
why it
know.
took so long to
I'm-
get to me,
but-
but that's the,
I think you're looking at the
memo.
You sent back, no, well, you sent back, yeah, right, but it had,
Correct.
it was in a chain that had the original packet.
Correct.
I got it at 4:38 yesterday.
okay.
That's
Now,
one
So what is-
If you
item.
scroll down, it was, the original email was,
July 23rd?
July 30th, I think it said.
Wednesday, July 29th.
Yeah, I got July 30th.
I have something
at Rotella
from
Road.
Todd
Good
from
afternoon.
July 30th about Seasons Gas Station, bait stamp. I,
Oh, the 29th.
I resent it on July 30th because Todd said he couldn't open it.
Yep.
So I said, "Good afternoon. I was informed that the Google Drive links provided in the previous email were not working properly.
Yeah.
I am resending the link for the full August 4th
I'm-
folder below."
So then
That was on
we can
July
talk after the
30th.
meeting then, because I actually,
Okay.
I don't have this, and
Please
I
do.
just
There's
started
a
this on
problem.
July 7th, so I only have a very short
And
list
you
of
are
emails.
on the email.
And, you know, like, it's not in there.
So this is
The
the
ones that
problem.
are dated the 30th it's actually empty. It's just
I
a
don't
bunch
know
of,
what to tell you that.
bullshit.
So we've tried a number of things.
Substantial.
We've tried a number of things with, working with Cheryl, working with Todd, trying to figure out what's the best way of getting information to everybody. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
And so, that's why we started with the transmittal sheet, to make sure everybody could see what they're getting.
Yeah.
They could see what's in their packets. And what we're trying to do is really keep all the projects together as much as we can. So that's why each transmittal sheet is related to a project, stapled together or clipped together, so you can see exactly what that is. We're also, and again, sometimes we're struggling with the flood of emails that we're getting, and trying not to just keep throwing you an email every day that somebody sends.
Well,
So we're
right, and
trying to-
that brings up
we're
Cheryl's
trying to
point.
bundle those.
Yeah.
And again, we're trying to make it easier for you guys to digest all of this information, to be able to get all of the information. So, you know, we had tried a couple different things. Initially, there was some information that came in late. We didn't present it. The applicant presented it, and there were some issues with that. But in the policy, it does provide for an applicant who's got late submissions to be, at least to be able to present that, not necessarily that you guys have to act on it or do that. But it does say that in the policy, and we can certainly change the policy.
The only thing
That's
that
a
I
purview
could
of the
suggest
board,
is,
so.
you'd have to have us respond. Do you, and, you know, if
Absolutely.
we're not
I'm happy
getting-
to do
If we're
that.
not getting the downloadable stuff, you have to say, ask us, is this in this email I'm sending you? Are you receiving this in its completeness?
I'm happy to do that.
No, what we're trying to do is just, again, just make sure that everybody's getting the information they have. And the transmittal sheet is the check for you guys to be able to go through that packet and say, is everything that's listed here in that packet? And if it's not, that's when you have to contact us and say, something
Correct.
happened, something's missing. And again, we're doing the best we can within the ability. And, you know, a lot of, I think in the past, we had tried to get away from so many paper copies, because we're not a copy office. We're
Did
not
you email
Staples.
us the transmittal sheet, you guys? Is
I
that
think it
emailed
gets
to us?
emailed, yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the, I don't think I don't have that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You are on the emails, Adam.
Yeah, I'm not, I'm not gonna argue with you that you're trying to send it to me. I'll
.ri.gov.
I'll give you that part of the argument.
Yeah.
When is the meeting for this?
The 15th.
September 15th.
Thing, 'cause I've been sitting for 2 hours, we got an assay because you're hard seats here, waiting for this. And when you have these meetings, it's usually a 4-hour with the zoning board, and you had to have them at the high school, because there's so many people that come here. So can you make it the only thing on the agenda?
Yes. I think it is.
When we do special
I believe it
meetings,
is
we
the
can
only
make
thing
it
on
the only thing on the agenda. Tonight was just an overview, because there's so many new board members, to get us up to speed on why they're here.
I gotta run into all of you for staying awake, and like the zoning board, you're all sleeping every meeting, it's disgusting. But I'll see you on the 15th.
Okay, thank you. So let me just go through this. We have had issues with the information going back and forth. We have tried, the planning office has tried, they're very busy. We're working on the weekly dump of information. So if they get something on a Wednesday, they're not going to be turning that around to us until that Tuesday. We are going to get weekly updates, unless it's an emergency, and then, Ed can use his judgment on that, or Chris, but a weekly dump of information. But I do want to back up the 7 days so that it's not, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Understand emergencies or if you're on vacation, but give us the 7 full days to get it. And at that time, the information is in our boxes 7 full days in advance. So every Tuesday, we're going to get used to getting an email from Ed with an electronic version of what was submitted that week. If we don't get it that week, whether or not we have a transmittal form, I don't go by these, but it is nice that, hey, you can see the highlighted areas of what they're sending with this. They're not going to send this whole thing out every time, just the new information. So if this is their way of doing it, we can adapt to that. But we want the weekly and we want the 7 days so that we can avoid a Mrs. De Silva type of thing. We understand Weston and Sampson, and that adds another layer.
So Weston and Sampson sent me the email when I was on vacation. They got an automatic response from me. They should have really forwarded that to Chris so he could forward to the applicant. I don't come back from vacation until the 27th, and that's when Bill Smith got it.
And that's fine. I think just going forward, we need to get them in the loop so that if there's something coming up on September 1st, we try and send it to them so that they have plenty of time and that the developer has plenty of time to respond. However that works out, I think it's going to be a little bit challenging to get it out to them, to get it back, and get the responses back, but that's what we need to try and do. So this is what I'd like to try, see if that works out.
Can I just ask, when was our last meeting? What date was that? Can you please refresh me?
July 16th.
Okay.
17th.
Okay.
Or 21st, July 21st.
I was going to say the 21st was Vital. That was a special meeting.
It was, yeah.
Right.
So, all right. So I'm just looking at what I have in my inbox after that. So, I have a few emails in here that are just, let's see, one of them is a bait stamped record, right? So that's one email that I have on the 30th. Another one is just a request. I don't know what this one says. It just says request, and then it's in.
Do you want us to look at it separately afterwards?
Yeah, well, I guess what I'm getting at is why can't we just get an email saying this was sent to the drive instead of separate attachments? Because, does that make sense?
No.
No, all right. So these attachments, I'm guessing they're in this drive somewhere, and there's only a few that I have. I think where we're losing it is because you feel very confident that you sent me all these emails, and I just don't have them.
It's on record, Adam. You're in the recipient folder.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
So I think one of the challenges is we've been setting up new emails for people.
Correct.
So that we don't have planning board emails come in with our personal emails because we get hundreds of different communications. So what Ed and Chris have tried to do is set up emails for all of us. They just went online. Adam was the first one to try it. So that might be some challenges of him getting some of the information. The rest of us are going online after this meeting, hopefully, that we start using those emails after this meeting. Let him know if you haven't set it up. He said he's more than willing to sit down with you. And Adam, they can go through your emails with you just to make sure that you have everything. But I'd like to try this.
I think I just need to be educated on how to, on the Google Drive. 'Cause I'm sitting, the whole time we've been talking, I'm trying to find these emails that Ed says he sent me, and I can't find them. So I'm sure it's my fault. I'll take all.
Well, you have a brand-new email, so let's work that out before the rest of us are fully on that system. We've also talked about the Google Drive, the GIS system. We are going to be scheduling a workshop for that, where Ed and Chris will be going over that information. Stu, I'm sure you're well-versed in all of it, but everyone from the planning board is invited, as well as anything else that they think might be helpful for us to know. But the GIS is just how to maneuver through things a little bit more quickly, how to find old master plans or different documents, the measuring tool, if we want to see a distance from one point to another, lots, if we want to identify different things. I think we can all do the basics.
Yeah.
So it maybe just a little bit more than that.
The other thing we're going to be doing is going to the portal. So we're going to be setting up logins for all of you for that. So that way, maybe we can actually skip the Google Drive.
Even better.
We're gonna be, setting up.
Permitting portal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way, we can just skip the Google Drive. And you have access to every application and all the stuff right there on the portal.
For that, all for easy.
So.
You have a
I have
login.
access, though.
You do. I can actually
We talked about this before, I guess.
log you in, right. Yep.
So I'd like to do it in a workshop. We can, pick the date, we can pick, that type of thing. We used to do Saturday morning workshops, all the time. I don't know if anybody wants to do that coming this fall, or pick a night where you can do it.
Happy to do it anytime.
Before we leave this, this particular agenda item, I have a few words I'd like to say, or a few questions I'd like to ask. First of all, in the old days, we always got hard copies of everything. And in fact, our policies and procedures require that applicants send in, I think it was like 20 copies, so that the planning office didn't have to be Xeroxing stuff or copying material. It came in a big box, hand-delivered, and it was just distributed into our mailboxes. If that's still the case, can you do that for those of us who like to see plans in hard copies?
Yes.
I keep asking that.
Yeah,
I've been
no.
asking that for 5 years now.
Do we not give out hard copies of materials?
Well, this particular meeting, I didn't even get an agenda in a hard copy.
Okay.
I didn't even get an agenda. I asked Rosemary yesterday on the telephone, or the day before. I said, have you seen one? I haven't seen one. So I came in today to get my agenda.
It was sent out.
There was no
after the packet.
agenda in my
Yeah.
mailbox.
Right. The agenda got approved after the packets went out, but yes, okay.
Yeah, but if you can,
So is
without
it-
copying a lot of stuff, I'm not trying to be hard on you, but without, if you can get stuff to those of us, and there's still like 3 of us on the board who like hard copies, if you can get some of that to us in hard copies on a regular basis, Ed, listen up. Listen up to what I'm saying.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Because
Got my
you
ear.
have that in your office already, please do so. Now, if other stuff comes in that is purely electronic, and it's going to be a problem for you to copy, I understand that. And that can be sent to me electronically. But all I'm asking for, and I guess I'm asking for Janice, because I know she and I are in basically the same, and maybe Adam, I don't know.
I like hard copy plans, I do like drawings, hard copies, I don't put this stuff in.
If you've got it, and you should have it, you shouldn't, I mean,
Yeah,
when an
absolutely.
applicant comes in, they should be giving you the number of copies, hard copies, that are in our policies and procedures.
Correct.
And I believe that's 20. And then get it into our mailbox. So that's all I'm asking. And by the way, an agenda would be nice. Okay, the second item is, if you're going to do weekly reports, I would like to see when an application comes in, even if it's a major application or a minor application or an administrative subdivision, if it actually comes into the office, I'd like to know about that in advance, because right now, I don't know what's come into the office until I see it on the agenda. And sometimes I don't see the agenda until, the last minute, and I'm saying, what the hell is this?
We used to review that stuff.
We used to get all of that stuff in advance, in the good old days, but, so make sure that's part of your,
I think that's
report.
exactly what Cheryl was asking for,
Your-
was a weekly
Your
dump of
weekly
information.
report,
so.
right. The third,
Let me just say, though, the weekly updates, what we had intended were electronic. So
That
every
can-
week,
always.
whatever comes in,
Absolutely.
new
That's
projects,
electronic.
everything.
That's
Weekly
electronic
is-
for everybody,
But
no
the
problem.
7 days in advance is hard copies for every board member that has requested it. If someone doesn't want it, then they can opt out with Ed.
Okay.
But most of those should be supplied by the developers, and it should be just the the emails or the little things
Yes.
that you do in the
Yes.
hard copy
Yes.
of yourself.
Yes. And the weekly
Hopefully.
report can be electronic. That's no
Right.
problem at all.
So that's what we've already,
But we would like to have updated information so that the planning board knows what's going on in the planning office, and I have no idea. I have no clue.
We used to get a status report.
I know, we don't do any of that stuff anymore.
You know, but may I ask, Madam Chair?
No,
that
because I
on
still have the
Tuesday,
floor.
Can I have a hard copy of the dump that Ed does on Tuesdays?
So much for having the floor.
because he's going to provide it, but.
I don't have the email. I don't want the email.
So Cheryl, I wasn't quite finished with my list.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I have a few more items. We're not getting written copies of written decisions on the decisions we make. We, the planning board, make decisions. Master plan, preliminary plan, final plan. I never see those, and I don't see them on the website either. Now, I know they're posted here, and I know they're posted in the library, but why can't the planning board get a copy of its own decision? Because we're the ones that are making these decisions theoretically, not the board. And I keep asking about that. I've been asking about that for a long time.
I think that's a great point.
Okay, yeah, sure.
For example, is the preliminary plan for Vital out yet?
No.
And there is a binder.
That's going to be distributed to.
That's all we're going to say about it.
Madam Chair, there is supposed to be a binder with all of those decisions in the planning board office.
Yeah, but I don't want to have to go.
No, I
You know,
Micromanagement.
What we're going to try and do is just stick with the information that we need from the planning office so that we can all walk out of here with an agreement on the basics. Doesn't mean that we're not going to change it or revise it as we need to, but just the basics that we'd like to start. And then this process hopefully will evolve so it's working for everyone.
And Cheryl, one final item, and that is an issue that came up tonight over and over again. Our consulting engineer is Weston and Sampson. I think Weston and Sampson does a fine job as a consulting engineer. But we need the consulting engineer here at these meetings. Rosemary can tell you that for years and years and years, we always had our consulting engineer at all of the meetings, didn't we, Rosemary?
Yes, we did.
And that was very helpful because when issues came up between Bill Smith or Tom Principe or somebody like that for the applicant, our consulting engineer was sitting right here and they could deal with it. And I can remember some consulting engineers like Deidre Pava who spent a lot of time in these discussions. None of us are engineers, and we've got some very complicated projects coming before us, and it would really be helpful. So I don't know. I guess this is something for you, Chris, to bring up with the town administrator and say, look, if you don't have it in your budget, Mr. Administrator, we, the planning board, have the right to raise fees that we charge to pay for the cost that the town must pay for applications that come in. We can't turn it into a profit center, but we can at least try to get all of our costs back, including the costs of a consulting engineer coming to our weekly meetings.
So I don't know when it stopped.
Exactly. We used to have our DPW director here as well as the consulting engineer, meeting after meeting. So
Do we know when it stopped or why?
This is another example of marginalizing the planning board.
Okay, so let's just get back on track. We can find out if we could, when it ended, why it ended, if there was a reason, and if we can request that going forward.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anything else on that with communication? Or are we going to try this, see what works, what we can improve going forward? Okay. Approval of planning board minutes. I would like to just go to the June 2nd one, and honestly, the June 16th meeting was the 5.5 hour meeting, overwhelming, and I need more time to go through those. But if we can start with the June 2nd meeting minutes, I'd like to do that.
I have some issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Ed, do you have them ready to? Okay.
Okay. The June 2nd.
Substantive issues, right? That's what we're doing.
June 2nd. Where do I stop? We need a header that incorporates the date of the meeting.
Turn on your mic, Rosemary.
Sorry, I can't get used to that. Thank you. We need a header that incorporates the date of the meeting on each page. And Stu was not at that meeting.
Correct.
Okay, it should be the absent like you used to have, Ed. Absent, and he's not there. So that, and then on the staff, Susan Mara and James Pearson were not here at that meeting. Ashley was at that meeting. And put of Weston and Sampson.
I believe James and Susan were both there.
I'm sorry?
I believe they were both there.
I looked at the tape, I didn't see him.
Okay.
You check it, double check.
It was the June 2nd meeting.
Unless they were sitting, you know. in the-
James was sitting next to me that meeting in the back, but.
Okay, just double check it. Okay, so that would throw the totals off on the votes. Down on, before you get to the end, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, we had a vote on the 4th paragraph from the bottom, and it would be 500, and also list the names of the people that voted, as
Okay.
we have done in the past. I think you just forgot that. The same thing on page 2, where 1, 2, 3, the 3rd paragraph down, voting in favor, put the names of the people that voted, and 500. Okay. It's down at the second from the bottom paragraph, waterfront zoning district. And the same thing with general commercial zoning district in that paragraph. Page 3 of 6. 1, 2, 3. 4th paragraph down, where the technical review committee meeting. It wasn't a process, but. And then Mr. Raposa had some input about the steps coming down from onto Sousa Road, and I also brought up about the Brownsfields on that particular project.
The what, Rosemary? I'm sorry?
The Brownsfields with the contamination that was mentioned, you know, there. Just to get it into the record, because people aren't going to look at the tape. And then below that, where the individuals spoke, I would suggest you put Craig Comito instead of Mr. Comito. If you want to put counselor, you can too. And then below that, 3 paragraphs, Mr. Myers made a motion to continue the public hearing and add the members who voted, and it's a 500 vote. Page 4, 1, 2, 3, 3rd paragraph down. Mr. Akers introduced, I think it was Herman Peralta, his first name, put his name, and he was a PE of PAR. And it was a traffic analysis, they said, not a study. And then the next paragraph, it was Lynn Small rather than Ms. Small. She was also a PE of Northeast, I think is the company name. And 1, 2, 3, 3 paragraphs down, Mr. Hardy is mentioned, but he was absent.
Okay.
Strike him. And it would be also, the vote would be 500. The last paragraph down, I would suggest that you include any existing units on the property, and I put 2 duplexes to clarify it. That's the existing ones on the property in parentheses.
Okay.
The next page, 5 of 6, the technical review committee should be technical review committee meeting rather than process. Going down a couple, in response to public comments, no, strike that, never mind that one. Then Mr. Myers made a motion to continue the public hearing to July 7th, change the vote to 5-0-0, and get rid of Mr. Hardy, he wasn't present.
Okay.
I don't think I was present. I know I have help.
You weren't there.
I thought you were there.
Is there anything else?
Yes, go on.
Okay.
6 of 6. I can't read my writing. 401, okay. State, Mr. Myers made a motion to approve the March 31st Planning Board workshop minutes. State the names of those that voted on it. I don't know who they were. And okay, no, she was there. Okay, and then approval date down at the very last line for the minutes. And I concur with the chair about the next one. Hold it.
I just have one comment, Ed,
Nicely
on
done.
page 3 of 6.
Yep.
Where it starts with my name, Ms. Valentine recommended that the public hearing be continued to June 16th. She further requested that staff prepare and distribute a memorandum and draft decision. That wasn't, I didn't say that.
No, okay.
I said a project summary.
Okay.
With a recommendation from the planning office.
Thank you, Cheryl.
And that was the only thing. I just wouldn't use those words.
Okay.
And that is all I have. Anyone else? If I could have a motion to approve along with the corrections from Rosemary and myself.
So ordered.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Abstain.
Because you weren't here. We got that part. Thank you. And you all set?
Okay. Oh, before I forget, even though you said in case I'm not here at the next meeting, on the 16th, the same thing applies with the header and also page numbers on the 16th.
You can just make a note of that for when we go over this. I just need, that was the very long meeting and there's a lot to it. Okay. Update from the Tiverton Harbor Commission?
Turn the mic on.
Not me. Thank you for all. Thank you.
All right, we have the Advanced Water Front Improvement Initiatives. The commission discussed pursuing grant opportunities for floodgate warning signs, kayak races, racks in Grinnell and Fogland beaches, waterfront lighting between Grinnell's Beach and the Manchester Building, and reviving the Memorial Benches project. Work is ongoing to advance the Mount Hope Bay Greenway in the former rail trail project, with coordination between Tiverton and Fall River Bicycle Communications to secure inclusion on the Massachusetts STIP Transportation Funding List. We also have the letter that went out, commission unanimously approved a follow-up letter to the Coastal Resources Management Council to provide additional information in support of reclassifying Nanaquacket Pond's water type designation. We're trying to make that to a number 2 over most of the area, except for that little section that they want to keep at number 1, and it should be. The Harbor Master Recorder, the patrol boat, is operating well with loaner engine. The fire boat has been relocated to the town dinghy dock. Proposed ordinance changes were discussed to strengthen mooring compliance and inspection record keeping. And that's it.
May I ask a
Yes.
question on that one? What is the status, of what is going on at the Manchester Fish Building?
That is well, we didn't discuss that, but I think I can speak on the fact that it's a new company that's in there, and they produce underwater drones, and they are using that for an office building, and they also using it for the Nanaquacket Bridge access to drop their drones in the water there. So, for testing. So I think that's been an ongoing issue. That hasn't really come to fruition yet, because they're still revamping the building. So we'll see more with that project, I'm sure, very soon. Yeah.
What was the bike path?
Oh.
That you just talked about? Put my computer away.
Well, the regional trail planning, they're still working on it to get the Mount Hope Greenway and the former rail trail project, and the coordinating between Tiverton and Fall River Bicycle Commission to secure the inclusion on the Massachusetts STIP transportation funding list. That's a statewide transportation improvement program.
Where are the memorial benches?
Come up to the podium, please. We're still in a public meeting.
Well, there was some questions back and forth, memorial bridges,
where are the memorial
benches
benches?
project. There was questions going back and forth on whether they use names, whether they change things. It was kind of like a back and forth about the name recognition on different benches. Some people.
Where are they?
We haven't decided that. That's for going forth. That's using a procedure for going forward. It was a weird, broken up conversation, to tell you the truth.
Are they going to be along the waterfront? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, the naming convention we're going to use for benches, it was really mostly a discussion.
Anywhere in town?
Yeah, it was mostly a discussion
Gotcha.
about the benches and what they're going to name, and they had some issues with a bench being named after someone that may have had some trouble, and then all of a sudden the benches now don't have the same meaning as they did. Some were veterans, some were this, and it was a long, protracted argument about not a lot, really. Sorry.
Okay.
But it's ongoing, and I'm sure it's a very important discussion.
Anything else?
No, that's the end of it.
That concludes our meeting.
Rosemary, do you want to, oh, no?
Oh, I don't want to see
She's
her.
doing something else. This is Rosemary's baby.
I'm looking for my clips. Okay, privileged motion of adjournment at 9:35.
All those in favor? Oh, we don't even need that. Okay. That's it. Thank you, everyone.